get into the room before I did. Oh. I always forget to turn off the audio on my laptop, and then we get this weird echo thing going on. So, right. Yay! Hello to everyone who's like bright and early, right at the beginning. So, yeah. So I've got my laptop over here so that I can read all of your questions and stuff like that. And then my camera over here, because apparently my cell phone just is like a way better camera than pretty much anything else that I have. Which is pretty sad, because I've got a nice DSLR, and my cell phone has a better camera. So, yeah. I always kind of laugh because I'm like, for some reason, I always end up here live on YouTube on like Saturday night, and I'm just like, oh, I have no life sometimes, but you guys are here too, so we can all have a life together. I didn't have a topic for tonight. I think we're just gonna, because every time I try to have a topic, we never stick to it. So we're gonna go with whatever. So any questions you guys have, we're gonna talk about it. But yeah, I just wanted to, I'm trying to be more active on YouTube right now, and I find that doing the live broadcast, I think I enjoy that a little bit more than I don't have to edit this basically. I think that's what it comes down to. I'm not good at video editing, so I do live stuff. I don't have to edit it, and I have fun. So this is oh, Sunday morning in Australia. Yeah, awesome. But yeah, so here we are. So let's see. Okay, so first question I see here. Oh, why can't you find me on social media? Let me answer that one quickly. I am on social media. I'm on Facebook, Ms. Morgan Thorne, or yeah, no, Morgan Thorne. You'll find me on Facebook. I have a page, and then on Instagram, I'm Ms. Morgan Thorne, and then I'm also on Twitter, but I'm usually not really active on Twitter, but I'm at Amphetamine. I'm pretty sure I have all that info in the description box, but if I don't, I will, add it in a comment or something after the live stream, and I'll make sure that it's on all of my future videos as well. But I usually try to make sure all that stuff is in the description box. So let's get started. Let's see. So what is the best way to deal with a switch female and make her more dom? Well, unfortunately, there is no way to do that. But because we can't make people be what we want them to be. I mean, life would either be way better or worse, potentially, I guess, depending on what side you're on, if we could just kind of make people into whatever we wanted. But if you are dating somebody that is a switch and you were hoping that they would be more dominant, it's my same like answer that I give to all you guys. You got to sit down, you got to talk about it. And I find that a lot of people, and you know what, I'm sure there's lots of problems from the other side of the slash as well, but I am coming from a dominant perspective. So a lot of people that are submissive will come to me and be like, anything you want, ma'am. And that's great, except that it's not true, because everybody has limits and everyone has different things that they want. So when you sit down and have a talk and say, hey, I would like it if you were more dominant in our relationship, tell the person what dominant means to you. Because if you came to me and said, oh, I want you to be more dominant in our relationship, I would take charge of things more. You'd never get to eat at the restaurant you wanted to, like little things like that, because to me that's part of how my dominance is expressed. I like to be in control of all of those kind of things. It really has very little to do with kinky play. If you wanted more kinky play, you'd have to be like, I want you to be more sadistic or whatever. So, but explain, what does that mean to you? Say, I want you to be more dominant, and here is what I would like to see. Is this something you're interested in? Is this something we can talk about and negotiate and figure out and make it work for us? because that's really the best way you can do it. Because if you just say, I want you to be more dominant, that means, like, you ask 10 people what that means, you'll get 10 different answers. So I definitely, you kind of have to, work at that, and do your best to explain what it means to you. And I know that that can sometimes feel like telling the person how to dominate you, which feels really wrong, but it's not. They get to take that information and then choose if they're into it or not, right? So, let me see. Sorry, I'm going to take off my gloves here. I don't need them while I'm sitting here. How do I open up a kink conversation or a conversation with my wife about kink? That's a really tricky one, right? Because you're worried that your wife is going to be like, what the hell, And that's, I think, a normal kind of reaction. When I talk to people, and I do have a video, if you look through the, sort of the videos that I already have about talking to a vanilla person about kink. But the main point there is to talk to them in a way that isn't scary. So you don't go in and say, well, I am interested in, CBT and 24/7 TPE, and give them all these, different kink terms that are just going to confuse the hell out of them. You sit down and you say, hey, you know what I would like? I'd like it if you took charge in the bedroom a little more. I would like it if you took charge in our day-to-day lives a little more. I'd like it if you were to spank me or to do this. And start off with the tame stuff, right? We don't go into like, oh, I want to be in like full body bondage, hanging from the ceiling while you whip me and whatever, that may be where we would like to get eventually, right? Nothing wrong with that. But if you tell that to somebody who's never done any of this stuff before, they're going to be like, no thanks, right? It's going to freak them out. So be chill and talk to them in terms that are, easier for vanillas to understand. And maybe it turns out she's actually kind of kinky and has some of those desires herself. And maybe she doesn't, but she's willing to indulge you sometimes. And, maybe that conversation is like, I'm not really into that, but I'm okay with you going elsewhere for it. You never know. But you don't know until you try. And I always tell people that, like, you can try dropping hints, from now until the end of time, and you probably won't get what you want. You might get lucky. It happens. But chances are you're not going to get what you want. You have to have that conversation, as awkward as it is. And you can frame it. It doesn't have to be like, sit down and really serious and I have a secret to tell you or anything. Like, sit down when you're having some wine and just chilling and having a fun time or whatever it is. And be like, hey, let's talk about our sexual fantasies. What fantasies do you have? These are my fantasies. And kind of go back and forth. You can make it be a little more fun. Or you can, you can watch a dirty movie that kind of works along those themes and be like, oh, that's kind of fun. It doesn't even have, I don't mean a porno necessarily, but God, I'm trying to think of a femdom movie in mainstream. You could watch some of the old CSI episodes where they have that madam. You can't, if you guys remember some good female dominant type movies where it's being mainstream, please comment, because I'm drawing a blank right now and I don't know if it's because there are none or because I just don't remember movies very well. Either are very possible. So okay, I'm just going to scroll up a little bit because I know there was a few that I missed there. Oh, hey Sharon, that sounds awesome. Informed consent versus consent. I am totally of the belief that we don't have consent at all unless it's informed consent, but that would have been a really interesting conversation. I'd like to, be a fly on the, well, I'd like to be more than a fly on the wall for that because I have way too many opinions, but that would be a really cool conversation to have. Okay, tips for queer women who live in a small rural county, thus don't have a big, all-inclusive, heavily populated LGBTQ community. I'm a trans lesbian, stick dating is hard for me. Yeah, I imagine it is. And I'm going to be honest, even in big cities, it can be tough. as we kind of refine who we are, sometimes it just becomes a little harder to find that right partner. The plus side, though, is that when we do find that right partner, they're really right because we know so much about ourselves. And that, yeah, that's going to be tough. I would probably, honestly, probably the first time you guys are going to hear me suggest this, but I would look at online dating, because I just think that you're going to be able to draw from a bigger pool then. And I do know, like, I mean, especially in small areas, you know, we're pretty cool here in Canada with a lot of things, and we've got a pretty decent LGBTQ scene, but even then, it's hard in some of the like more rural areas. So yeah, try online dating, and it just, you know, yeah. Oh man, I wish I could remember the name. There used to be a part of a site that was for like kinky women, of, you know, all descriptions. As long as you were kinky and identified as like a woman, femme type, you were welcome. I cannot for the life of me remember what it is. I'm gonna look that up. I will let you know if I remember. But there are websites that are specifically for you out there that are, you know, for, you know, like I said, kinky women, and then you can check that out. But yeah, I would definitely go with online stuff because I think you'll have better luck. Don't give up on in person, obviously. Like, go hang out and see. You never know who's going to show up. And if you can make friends, I think that that's probably worth it as well. But yeah, if you are in a small area and they're not, you know, open-minded, why do we have to be open-minded to accept people for who they are? That seems ridiculous. I think we should just accept everybody for who they are. But that's a rant for another time. But yeah, definitely, yeah, try online. I think that probably will be your best bet, for sure. Let's see. Uh, Sorry guys, I'm not going to be able to get to like all of the things here because you guys are awesome and you have so many questions. I'm going to try my best, but I don't know that I can get to everyone's questions. Yeah, I see some talk about people not having a good time finding partners that aren't vanilla. I really think, like, you know, you gotta fish in the kinky pond, right? There's no point in fishing in Lake Vanilla and trying to convert people. But yeah, it's, you know, get out into I mean, you know, I know the kink community isn't for everyone, and I do need to be more, you know, talk about that more for people, because I'm part of the kink community and it's such a big part of my life. But I really do recommend it if it's something that you're interested in. Obviously, if you're not, then yeah, online. I'm still investigating. I'm still in the search for, you know, a good, you know, kinky BDSM style dating app. I had reviewed one on my channel. It sucked. Well, like, it was good at the time, but now it kind of sucks. So, if you guys have like ideas for kinky dating sites or apps, let me know, because I'm on all of these ones, just like checking them out and trying things out and getting lots of gross messages. It's super fun. But like, yeah, let me know, and that way I can try them out and then I can tell you guys, because online dating is kind of the way things are going now. It's not for me, but I wanna try it out for you guys. So, oh, okay. Hector has some problems with coworkers. I would just, honestly, I would just tell them that you're seeing somebody and that you want to keep it to yourself. I mean, you know, there's ways that you can kind of very politely, I think, just be like, oh, I'd rather not talk about my personal life. You know, I like to keep work and personal separate. And just tell them you're seeing someone. You can tell them that maybe it's a long distance relationship or something if they wonder why, like if you have a lot of work functions and they're not, you know, coming out. your partner isn't coming out or something like that, then you can say like, oh, well, it's a long distance thing, or, you know, travels a lot, or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, you don't really owe them any kind of explanation there. So, okay, I'm seeing some stuff popping up. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna like, there we go. Check some of those out. But yeah, Hector, I hope that kind of helps a little bit. But yeah, just tell them politely, nicely, none of your business. But yeah, that would be Lady Heather from CSI Las Vegas. Thank you. But yeah, I would just be like, hey, I'm seeing someone, but I like to keep that private. I think that's your best way to go about it. Someone's dealing with their dominance, physical health declining, just as the submissive partner is getting a need to finally explore physically intensive play. Well, funny you should ask. I would, for instance, I would check out the book that I just reviewed, Hell on Wheels, Disabled Dominance. Is an excellent read, and it will give you some really good insight from that that sort of perspective. From my own perspective, you know, my health was all right when we started. I wasn't in great health. I had chronic pain and stuff like that. And then I had a fairly major accident, and now I require a wheelchair or crutches. I cannot walk anymore. And, you know, it's been 2 years. It's not changing. So we've had a major shift in that. And it absolutely, like, our whole DS relationship was put on hold for a long time. So I think that there's a couple of ways that you can explore that. It sort of depends on what you mean by more physical play. And if you are meaning like really hands-on, like rough body play, wrestling, that kind of thing, you may have to find somebody else to explore that with if it's okay with everybody. What I like to do is I use my lazy dom toys. At least that's what I like to call them. So I use a lot of things like canes, electrical play, needles, all that kind of stuff where I can cause a lot of intense sensation or pain for my partner, and they can have that really like intense physical experience where I don't need to expend a huge amount of energy, and I can do all of that while seated. You know, I don't have to be up and moving around and doing stuff. I can, you know, and if I want, if I were to move, or instead of me moving, rather, I'll tell my partner like, hey, you know, get on your knees, turn this way, do that. And I find to do that a lot more now, because it's easier for him to move around than it is for me to move around. So we do that. I think I'm gonna do a video. I can't promise anything because I have to ask if he's cool with it. But we'll do like basically like a play scene that you guys can watch, so you can see how we play and work around some of this stuff, but also so that you guys can see how to structure a scene and things like that as well, or at least how I choose to do it, because you may choose to do it in a different way. But yeah, so that is one option, is to kind of use those more intense toys to make up for the lack of sort of physical ability to do that. If that's not viable, another thing you could possibly explore, again, it really depends on your relationship style and all of that kind of stuff, would be to have somebody else that is perhaps a service top, or who's cool with, you know, maybe a switch, taking some orders, where your dominant could use the other person as a tool. So this other person is a stand-in for their body, and say, okay, I want you to do this to them now. I want you to, you know, grab them by the hair and throw them against the wall, or whatever it is, you know, so that basically the dominance will is enacted through this other person, and that way you can explore that type of play, and in a way that hopefully everybody is cool with. That's something that I have done, and I've done it before I had the physical issues that I have now. I've done it many, many years ago when I was healthier. So it can be a lot of fun. So that's a way. I mean, of course, you know, another option would be for you to, you know, talk about having an open relationship and pursuing those more physical pursuits with a different partner. And again, I mean, I realize that's not for everybody, but it's definitely an option that you can talk about if you guys are game for that. So there are a few options, and I'm going to be doing up some videos very soon. We're going to be getting into, I just want to do some the pro dom videos first, but I'm also going to be doing some workaround style videos and stuff like that, where I'm going to talk to you guys about just basically the adaptive kink. Why not? Where the different things, strategies that I use, and that way we can have a nice, neat set of videos for that type of thing. So that would be some ideas to get you started, and then hopefully I will have some more for you in a couple of weeks. So. Books about being a submissive that I would recommend reading. The new Bottoming book covers both bottoming and submission a little bit. That one is the first one that jumps to my mind. I think that there are a lot of books that sort of cover both perspectives very well. Different Loving is one of them. And I'm so sorry, guys, I can't remember a lot of the authors for these books. But if you go to my website, msmorganthorne.com, there is a little thing and it's books, and if you click on the books, those are the ones I wrote. If you click on books I love, that will take you to Amazon, and it'll show you, and it is like an affiliate link, but it will show you a listing of all the books that I really have read and recommend that are kink oriented, and there are a few submissive oriented books on there. I haven't found any of the, like, I mean, I write books, so I check Amazon frequently, and there's a lot of them where it's like, dom training or submissive training, blah, 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 and you look at them and they're like 50 pages, and you read the, reviews, and they're like, well, you could have learned that on FetLife. So I don't know if there's any of those that I would recommend. I would kind of avoid some of those ones, but I do have a really good book list of various things. But yeah, check out Different Loving, and the new Bottoming book, because it covers submission as well as bottoming. And it's Easton, and I don't remember. My memory sucks. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, they're really, really good books. And for those on the other side, there's the new Topping book as well, which is excellent. I'm going to review them on the channel at some point. But there's all these other really cool books that keep getting sent to me, and I have to share all of them with you guys. So it's hard to keep up sometimes. Let's see. Sunshine, yeah. Thank you for throwing it in. Yeah, and this person, I think, yeah, moving is also possibly an option for our lesbian friend that had the question before. If possible, consider moving to a bigger area, like a bigger city. Definitely an option. It's certainly a more involved option, but it may be something that you do need to consider. Just wanted to bring those up because I think that that's really important. Internet keyboard warriors. Block them. That's really it. Keep trying to meet up. I start answering questions before reading the whole comment. I always should do that. Oh, okay. Okay, so Michelle here is asking about keyboard warriors online, and they talk a good game, and then they don't meet up, and work in med, I'm assuming medical field, so yeah, your hours are probably fucked. I remember those hours, they sucked. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to make it out to events and munches and stuff like that. I absolutely understand. My day off used to be Tuesday or whatever, because, when the shifts go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sometimes you get Tuesday off. It sucks. But yeah, one of the strategies that I hear a lot of people employ online is just meet quickly, because that way you don't get attached to this sort of persona that they're creating online, and then you're disappointed if they don't follow through. Talk, obviously you need to talk a little bit, but talk, establish that potential connection, and then be like, hey, this is going well. Why don't we meet at, the coffee shop on the corner, whatever. Always meet in public, because you don't know who this person is. But do it quickly, because that way at least you're wasting less time, right? It's not a cure-all. You're not gonna get rid of all of the keyboard warriors there. I like that. Sort of, a name for them, but at least you will waste less time, I think. And bring a good book when you go to the coffee shop, and that way you can just chill if you need to, if they don't show. That's what a lot of my friends do, because it's hard to meet people. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Jessica, I think that's like the advice that a lot of people give. Like, okay, so the advice I'm like some far back in the comments here is like, oh, relationships happen when you aren't looking for them. And yeah, I think that's true sometimes, but I also think that relationships are hard work. And finding one is hard work. Like, it's not easy for anyone. So, I do think, I wouldn't put, like, I wouldn't focus solely on that, right? We should focus on ourselves and always improving ourselves and making sure that we are the best people we can be and somebody that would be good to be in a relationship with, right? Like, I know for part of my life I was really, I've dealt with depression for, quite a bit recently especially, but like, I'm not a good partner then. So I needed to deal with that before I could be a good partner to somebody else. And even when I wasn't dealing with those kind of big things, I was always like, oh, well, what could I do to make myself a better partner? So for me, that answer was go and learn more kink skills and, just generally do things that make me feel good. Because when I'm a happier person, I'm a much better and nicer person to be around in general. So yeah, I think that if we kind of combine looking for a relationship and improving ourselves, then at least the time will pass quicker. And hopefully you'll be having a lot more fun and enjoying yourself. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, I get ghosted. I mean, I think that happens a lot. That's like the shitty thing with online dating. I like it's a really good thing in a lot of ways. It's not, like I said, it's not for me, but it is really good in a lot of ways. But yeah, that would drive me nuts. I don't know. I never know if I'm gonna have that sort of chemistry with people until I'm face to face with them anyways. So yeah, meet quickly. Yeah, yeah. And we've got Circuit Drone here saying 9 out of 10 vanillas will call you a pervert if you try to convert them. Yeah. Yeah, you get the odd one. I mean, they might be kinky already, so. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm way behind in these comments here. I think somebody's asking for a shout out for Brazil. Hello. Really want to visit your country. It'll take me a while though. Oh, okay, here's a nice one. Photography, nice name. During impact play, how long should I wait until we do another session? Should I wait until all the marks and bruising are gone? Depends on how hard you go, really. And it depends on your partner. If you bruise on bruising, it's not gonna cause any, there's like rumors going around that you'll cause blood clots and people are gonna die, and oh my god. No. If you do impact on top of existing bruises, you are going to make worse bruises. And if you take that to an absolute extreme, you can cause all kinds of problems, including like, nerve damage. You're going to move that person along to what we call leather butt really quickly. And leather butt can happen on any part of the body. It's just basically the skin is toughening up from all of that impact, and then it's going to take more impact to get the same kind of sensation and bruising and everything else. So I do tend to try to let things heal in between, but I kind of think of it like in the same sort of way as working out. And again, this is going to be really personal for you, and it is going to depend on the type of play that you do. So like if I do like a needle scene and we have open wounds, I'm not going to play on that same area until those wounds are healed. Now, we're talking needle play, they're tiny needles, it only takes usually a few days to a week for everything to heal up nicely. but you know, I want to give that time to heal. So that is one strategy. You can play on different parts of the body. So if you want to do back-to-back days, you could do like, okay, focus mainly on the butt one day for the heavy impact, and then the next day you could do like a different style of play, or you know, do like nipple torture type things, or you know, go heavier on the like back and top of the back and shoulders, or something like that. But I would at least give it a couple of days, let things heal up. Like I said, I sort of look at it in the same way as working out. If you work at the same part of the body a couple of days in a row, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're probably hurting yourself. So you know, just you know, let it heal a little bit, but it doesn't have to be like no trace of a bruise or anything. And you know, if you only see your partner on, say, the weekend, and you want to play both Friday and Saturday night, go for it. Just play a little lighter Friday night, so you can go a little harder Saturday. But yeah, try to space it out if you can. If that's not feasible, then you know, just try to switch it up a little bit, switch styles of play. Like, you do have to kind of plan it a bit as to what you're going to do each day. I hope that's clear. Oh, would like to try shibari, always being into leather bondage. I think rope is beautiful. I do have nerve damage in most of my extremities. Would rope be too safe or hazardous? Sunshine, it's going to depend on a couple of things. Number one, are you planning on being the top or the bottom? That would be one thing. Number two, what type of nerve damage? Like, is it from compression? Is it, like diabetic neuropathy? That kind of thing. I think in the end, like if you are bottoming for the rope, having rope on those parts of your body is probably just going to be a bad idea in general. But you can always combine doing like chest harnesses that don't involve the arms. So there's some that just will go around the body and not include the arms. And then use like some leather restraints in addition to the rope. And that way you kind of get a little bit of each. I don't want to talk too much about like shibari suspension bondage or anything because I am not an expert in that particular field. I have a fellow that I'm going to try to get to come onto the channel, and maybe he'll do a live chat with us as well, he is an expert. So hopefully we'll be seeing him soon-ish. We've just got to get our schedules coordinated. But he would be, and I will definitely be asking him about, people with differing abilities and illnesses and issues and rope, because again, he's the expert, not me. But yeah, I would, there's definitely ways you can try. Now, if you are planning on being the top in that situation, I just know from my own nerve damage, it affects some of my fine motor control. It can be an issue. I haven't had a problem tying rope, but it will again depend on the extent of your damage there. And honestly, the best way to find out basically is to try things, but just tiny little baby steps here. You don't want to jump right into the deep end and and then find that it was too much, or it hurt, or you couldn't do it, or whatever it is, caused a flare. Oh, that would suck. But yeah, ease in, try slowly, and try maybe exploring ways that don't involve the parts of your body that do have that nerve damage. But yeah, it's a tricky call because not a doctor. I just have lots of pain, so I feel you. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, like, I know the leg that I have CRPS in, there's no way I could even I can't touch it. So I wouldn't want rope on it for sure. But nerve damage is different for everybody, so. Okay, somebody's asking about CBT subs. So there seems to be this like, especially I see this with a lot of like male submissives who are like, I'm an oral slave, I'm a this slave, I'm a that slave. Basically it's a guy with a fetish. Are there subs who bottom for CBT? Absolutely, and I love them. But you know, somebody that only does that, no, that's really not terribly useful to me in any way, or like most dominant women. So I find that a lot of them are just like guys that are really focused on one thing, like it's obvious what their fetish is. Um, and then they seem to think that they can just do this one thing, and then that's to the exclusion of everything else, and that's not really how things work. If you are only interested in that, you can certainly find, if you go to parties and get to know people, you'll find lots of, you know, dominant women, dominant men, toppy women, toppy men who like to do CBT, who would happily engage you for a play scene. But other than that, you might want to explore with a pro dom. Would always be an option as well, because they, like, I was always happy to take a client that was like, I want to do CBT for like 3 hours, and it's like, sure, let's go. But yeah, as for like more relationship oriented stuff, no, you like, we want more to you than just an activity, right? We want to know you as a person and everything else. So yeah, the whole idea of like having like, oh, an oral slave or a CBT slave or whatever, it's sort of, I mean, if that's the kind of thing that makes you, like that language makes you happy, then you can negotiate using that type of language with a partner. But we want you to be a little more well-rounded and human, right? So that's generally the way it goes. Um, okay. Sorry, I'm just like going through here. Sharon also loves CBT. It's because it's fun. You just have to convince the guys out there and the other people with penises that it is really fun. Sometimes they don't believe me, but I know better. Yep. What makes me, sorry guys, I'm just trying to read through everybody so I don't miss any like important ones here. Um, Oh, this person. So I think what sort of gets talked about there a lot is yeah, when we bruise really really deeply, we can so like I'm just gonna use it's a similar kind of idea, but it's not quite the same. There's you can actually cause sciatic nerve pain through heavy impact on the ass. And it's more because like you're causing lots of swelling and stuff like that, and then it can compress the nerves. Um, so it's an absolute, like, it's not something that happens often, and it's really not, like, I wouldn't consider it to be like a risk that's even necessarily worth mentioning for most, you know, average impact scenes. Like you'd have to have very very extreme um, impact to do that kind of thing, or the person would have to have like really extreme like inflammatory response. I've never heard anything about like bone cells necessarily, but I am not a doctor, so I can't really say for sure there. But that's the first thing that sort of jumps into my mind is like that potential of nerve damage through heavy impact because of swelling and inflammation and stuff like that. But yeah, so there are, and I mean like it's, I think a lot of these risks are things that people like hear about, and then they sort of are like, oh my god, this could happen if like you get a tiny bruise and then you bruise again. It's like the blood clot thing, right? um, and these things are like yeah, they're 1 in a million kind of thing. I don't know, I don't want to say, actually I shouldn't say 1 in a million because I don't know what the chances are, but they're very rare things. And so yeah, it's not stuff that I generally worry about unless like, I mean, if people are doing super super heavy play constantly, I think that is a problem for a lot of different reasons. But like, as long as if you're doing really heavy play, I'm all for that. I love doing heavy impact, and like I've left people extremely bruised and happy for it. Like they were happy, I was happy. It was all, everyone's happy. But yeah, like I don't do that every day kind of thing. Like it's got to be spaced out. just because like the body can't handle that kind of abuse nonstop and continuously. There have been people that I've played with really, really heavily multiple times in a row on purpose because we wanted to play in that way, but we sat down and discussed potential risks, and we're both cool with that. But yeah, it's... Okay, yeah, DMI, damn it, excellent suggestion regarding Shibari. Yeah, really, it's good to take a class with a pro. If you're in Toronto, I used to go down to the Kimbaku Salon and do like some rope class, like take rope classes there. I did not teach. I just want to make that super clear because I do teach classes, but not Shibari classes. And that was really cool. If you live in a big city, there are usually some type of like rope dojos or that kind of thing that you can get some lessons at, and pretty much every kink scene will have, you know, the rope people, and you can check out those. Sometimes there's groups like Hitch and Bitches and Rope Bite. Those are both international organizations. I'm not sure if Hitch and Bitches is still around, but it was for women identified people. Tops specifically, and you could be any gender as a bottom. So I'm not sure if they're still around, but there are a lot of ones where you can go and get in-person stuff. And I think that's really the best because I can't, but a rope expert can give you advice over the internet, but we can't be there with you and see like your body and your issues and all of that right in front of us. And that's what they are going to need, not me, because again, not an expert, but you know what I mean. So what's the best way to break into your local scene? Go to a munch. And I was just talking to somebody and trying to explain that munches, sorry, this is the most uncomfortable stool in the world. Munches can be a little funny. Not all munches are created equal. Some are better for new people than others. I personally, if I was just starting out in the kink scene, I'd want to go to a smaller one to start out with, because that way it's a little less intimidating. But if you're not that type, if you don't care, there are gigantic munches. Again, I live very close to Toronto, so one of the biggest munches there is called the Deviant Munch, and it is absolutely fantastic. When you go, if you get caught by the greeter and they see you, because it's like huge, I mean, like they get like 50, 100 people, you know, on a typical night, they'll grab you and be like, hey, you're new, what's your name, what are you into? And then they'll seat you with people that are into the same kind of things, and introduce you around to some people. And I think that's like an amazing way to do a munch. And like I ran a munch and I did not do that because, yeah, it just never occurred to me to do that. But we had a much smaller munch. But I think that that's like a great way to get in. But anyways, when you go to a munch, sometimes if you just are kind of like closed off and keep to yourself, people will usually leave you be, because we don't know if you just want to sit and chill because you're overwhelmed by the situation and you need some personal time, or if you're just there. Or we do get, unfortunately, we get people, we call them tourists, who come by, and for some reason they are upset that we aren't having an orgy in the middle of the restaurant that we're hanging out in. I don't know, it's weird, but it's not what they expect, and then they disappear and we never see them again. So one of the best ways to kind of get into the scene is to go to a munch, and usually the same one if you kind of like it, but you'll have to go a couple of times. And that's when people will start being like, oh, I remember you were here last month, and being more open with you, because there are so many people who just show up once and then never again because they get scared off, or it's not what they expect, or whatever it is. Like, there's a million reasons to go to a munch and not end up coming back. Hi! I don't know if everyone is still in the room because we just got cut for some reason. Anyways, we're back. I was talking about munches. I was talking about how you need to show up a couple of times, and then people will start recognizing you and being like, oh, hey, I saw you, you know, whatever. Because there's so many reasons that people will show up to a munch and then not come back. And, you know, sometimes it's not what they expect. Sometimes there's just, it's too much. They're overwhelmed. They don't want to do that. And sometimes it's like, you know, like they just, yeah, it's just not for them. And that's fine. But you need to sort of show up a few times before we really open up. Because you have to remember, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I couldn't go to a munch, then people will know I'm kinky, right? We have that same thing. Well, other people have that same thing. I obviously don't care if you know that I'm kinky, because here I am on the internet being like, yes, kink, woo! But for a lot of people, they just want to keep their shit to themselves. They don't want everyone to know. And that's why munches are good, because it's just like vanilla people hanging out at a restaurant, you know? Like, I went out to dinner tonight. Was I at a munch? Was I just out with friends? Who knows? I was just out with friends. The munch was last week. So, but you get what I mean. So yeah, we don't want to open up too much to strangers that are going to show up once and never again, right? So do show up a couple of times. But that's the best way to get into your local community, I think. Workshops also work. Workshops, because that way you can learn something. Often there's a bit of time before, after, on a break where you can chat with people. I know people chat with me as like when I teach workshops quite a bit. I'll just throw out there that I'm teaching a wax plate workshop next week. Not next week, this Sunday in Toronto tomorrow, at Kink Boutique. I'll be in Peterborough next week for Classic Discipline, and then the week after that, I'm in Orangeville. So if you guys are like in the GTA, I have some workshops for you. But anyways, yeah, you can go to workshops, and that was like the worst self-plug ever. I'm just like, but, you know, you can get a chance to talk to people. I talk to people all the time and then tell them, oh, you should check out this space or that space or whatever when I'm teaching, because this is their first contact with the sort of kink community. So, during water sports, my partner is taking meds. Safe to ingest, and yes. Okay, so medication and water sports. I have a video on water sports. I think I touched on the medication thing. You may want to check out that video as well. But it depends, right? So some medication is, you know, excess is excreted through the urine. Usually it is in quantities that are so minuscule that it's not going to be an issue. However, if you are allergic to that person's medication, then obviously it's not worth the risk. If that person is on temporary medication, so like, you know, oh, I just need to take this for a couple of weeks, you know, and then I'll be fine, I would wait. If the person is on antibiotics because they have an infection, I would not consume the urine. Well, I'm not going to consume anyone's urine, but I would avoid urine consumption at that point. Because, you know, I don't think it would be a risk necessarily, but I don't know how antibiotics that may be excreted that way would have an effect on you, and I just don't know if there would be like, you know, the potential to pass on that infection or anything like that. Generally speaking, your stomach acid, sorry, Wolfie is sitting here and making lots of noise right now. Generally speaking, your stomach acid is going to take care of most, like, you know, bacteria and everything else, but yeah, I would just, again, I would just wait, because there's no rush, right? And if you are taking things like pain medications and all that, and then the partner who's consuming needs to take a drug test or for any reason, right? I don't think it's going to show up, but I still wouldn't risk it. Just because I tend to err on the extreme side of caution on a lot of things. But yeah, generally speaking, you're okay, but there are some times that I would like hold off. And since we actually do have a couple of medical folks in the room, if you guys, if I'm totally wrong on any of that, please like leave a comment so that I can see it and correct both myself and the people asking. That way they know. Because yeah, that's kind of my thing on it. Temporary medication, just avoid it until after. Um, like regular day-to-day medication, as long as you're not allergic to it, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Chances of, like, I mean, people talk about like consuming recreational drugs and then doing water sports to share the recreational drugs. You're not going to get high. Like, there's not going to be enough there, and unless you're drinking gallons of pee. But by that point, to produce gallons of pee, it's going to have to be so dilute that you're not going to get anything, right? So um, I did not do a review yet of the Delrin Keens. I'm totally going to do that though, because I've played with them a few times now, and it's going to be a positive review. They were awesome. I love them. So. Uh, oh, Demi. Sorry, I say people's names wrong. Sorry, I just saw that there. Does Toronto have a big BDSM scene, Barney? Yes, it does. It's probably one of the bigger scenes. In North America, you're looking at LA has a huge scene. Surprise. San Fran, also big scene. Soccer. New York has a huge scene. It's a big city. Toronto and Montreal. Those are, and Vegas scene seems pretty decent. It's just there. So, but yeah, there's pretty much any big city has a big scene. But Toronto has a particularly large, like, I mean, we just like to party here, it seems, because we have one of the biggest pride celebrations in North America as well, which is really kind of cool. And we hosted World Pride not too long ago. But yeah, there's a big scene in Toronto. Big enough that we have multiple scenes that all exist at the same time, depending on what you're into. So. So I don't know where it was from. I just see Sharon saying, if pain persists, see a medical professional. That is excellent advice. That is advice that applies to anything. If you have pain that persists beyond what you would expect, see a medical professional. And I know saying that is hard for some of you guys that are in the States that don't maybe have the best insurance or whatever. I do not understand how you guys deal with that system at all. But if you are able to, and you have pain that results from play that doesn't resolve fairly quickly, please see a doctor if you're able to, definitely. Asking about how to do loud BDSM if it scares the big dog. I actually did a whole video on that. Wolfie has been trained. He's pretty good. He's like conked out. Here, I'll show you guys if you don't mind the wonky. Yeah, there is Wolfgar. That is what he does pretty much all day, every day. He's an English Mastiff, so all he does is sleep, it seems, and eat, and poo. But, yeah. So this is how he is when we play. We just put him in his crate, because he's crate trained, so that we can do whatever we want, and he doesn't care. Sometimes what I'll do is, he's got like a Kong toy, so like the rubber thing, and it's got a hole in the middle. I'll stuff that with like peanut butter, or if I'm thinking ahead, I'll put some like chicken in there and freeze it in the freezer so that he has like a chicken popsicle inside, and it distracts him enough. But yeah, we don't have a problem with him because he's used to it from when he was a puppy. But I have lots of good tips for just basically getting your animals to chill when you're having fun. But definitely check out that video. Excited for the Delrin Kane reviews. Oh, Dini, damn it. Thank you. Trace amounts of penicillin can be excreted through urine, enough to trigger penicillin allergies. Precisely. So, as I was saying, if you have an allergy to the medication your partner is taking, do not consume their urine. That is, thank you for confirming that. I appreciate it. This is why I love to have other medical people in the chat, because I've been retired for a long time, like just I think it's been like 11 years at this point I've been retired, so I'm out of practice a lot of the time. I try to keep up with stuff, I study, I read a lot of this stuff, but it's not the same as being an active medical professional. So oh, James, there's a good question. I'm a new sub. How do you feel about munches that want women to attend but not men? As there's an overabundance of men. So there's two sides to that. If it is a women's only munch, I have absolutely no problem with that. I think that's fine, because women sometimes need to hold their own space, where we can, you know, have sort of a a safe area where we can sort of just talk amongst ourselves. And obviously, a lot of people that would show up to a woman's only munch would probably be like bi or lesbian, or otherwise interested in other women as play partners. So that's one thing. And I used to run or help run. I can't take total credit there at all. I worked with some really wonderful people, and we ran a women's only play party. And it was amazing. And the vibe is totally different. Just like actually one of the women that started the party, her husband ran a men's only play party. And the vibe there, apparently, obviously I didn't go, was quite different than a mixed gender party. So those can be really good spaces for people. And even if you aren't gay or bi or whatever, I would encourage you, if those are options for you, to go and check it out, because sometimes there's just, I don't know, it's a different energy and it's a different experience. And I think that that's worth trying at least once. If it's not for you, don't go back. But now, if there's munches that have some men that say we only want women to show up, that would raise a big red flag for me. I wouldn't be interested in going to something like that, because it tells me right off the bat that it's going to be a meat market for this, you know, select group of men. So yeah, in some cases it's cool. In other cases it's creepy AF, right? So you kind of have to try to figure that one out for yourself, which is which. But oh, Pete, I didn't see you yet, but welcome. Yeah, we're gonna get Pete to come on down here, or I'll go down to see him. I'm gonna be in Peterborough soon. But yeah, Pete's gonna come on live with me at some point. I'll convince him. It won't take any convincing. We just gotta get him to keep his pants on, because it's YouTube. Okay. You deal with healthcare in the U.S. by getting a union job. I'm all for union jobs. I used to have one and I loved it. So, yeah, I don't know how you guys deal. I'm sorry, I don't try to avoid politics here, because once again, I have lots of opinions. But that is one thing that just blows my mind. I feel so bad for you guys. You'll need some single payer going on, because it's not perfect. Nothing is, but at least I can get health care and not have to worry about mortgaging my house that I don't own. I'm not going to say anything more on that, but I was wondering if there's any whips or canes that are thuddy, good for beginnings. Okay, so by whips, I'm going to assume you also are including floggers in that, because I think that's, we make a distinction, but they are technically whips. Because single tail whips are not a beginner toy at all. They're a lot more difficult to use. But yeah, there's lots of them. If you are looking at floggers, I've got a whole series on flogger videos, and I go into more detail there. But basically, you're looking for lots of falls and thicker, softer material for those falls. So deer, elk, moose, cowhide, but like more of the very soft cowhide or suede, are all good options for thuddier floggers. So you've got that. When it comes to canes, if you're looking for something more thuddy, then you want to look for something really, really thick. I've got a couple of dragon canes back here, and I mean, they're as thick around as like my thumb. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go with my thumb. So they're quite hefty, and they have quite a thud to them. Just be warned that canes. I also have some videos on canes you might want to check out. But canes are not a like, you know, haul off and as hard as you can kind of toy. They are much more of a finesse and precision toy, because you can really hurt somebody with canes. So, but yeah, there's lots of different options. And I would grab one, but they're really far away and I can't, I literally can't walk. But yeah, check out both the cane series and the flogger series videos, and you'll have lots of stuff. I even did a video on paddles, talking about like thuddier paddles versus stingier paddles, if that's something that interests you as well. Lots of stuff there for you guys. Most YouTubers are pantless and film from the waist up. That is true. That is true. I'm a huge fan of like looking nice on top and then having pajama pants or like fuzzy pants. Today I just have leggings, so like I'm still wearing what I went out in. But yeah, normally you guys see me from here up and I'm totally in pajama pants, always. Yep. Votes for moose hide. A leather flogger with horsehair tips. Sharon, I've never seen that before. That sounds amazing. I want to see that. I want to see it and touch it and play with it and own it. I am totally, like, as you guys can tell, I got all this like stuff around. I mean, part of this is from like, you know, a decade of being a pro dom. You get to collect a lot of toys, and like behind the camera, I'm seriously pissed at my internet right now. Sorry about that. Once again. Yes, please send me a photo if you can. I would love that, Sharon. But what I was saying is, before I was so rudely interrupted by my shitty ass Wi-Fi, is that like I got all these toys. You can see a lot behind me. The wall behind the camera is full of toys as well. We're gonna do a dungeon tour very soon. Sage finally put the cross back up. It was like in pieces because we took it with us to Montreal when we went there in January. You can see life has been pretty busy for us. But yeah, I love toys. I love gear. I love all of it. I'm a big fan of like having all of the things, which is part of, like, if you watch my Being a Pro Dom video, part of what I loved about that. I could buy all the things. It was great. I've got like Tupperware, like not Tupperware, but like the big Rubbermaid bins full of toys in the closet too. I've got so much. One of these days I'm gonna have to like go through and you know, give gifts to people who are okay with used toys, but yeah. Oh, I see Sunshine with the heavy silicone spatula for $3. Absolutely. Yeah, our local dollar stores carry a lot of them. They're like a red Betty Crocker kind of thing. They're brutal. They are so awesome, but they're so intense, and it's amazing. I love it. Love it. Did you hear about the whole American Mean Girls Platinum stuff that's been going around on Twitter? Pretty horrifying. Vortex, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I clearly have missed that. But now I'm gonna look it up, like when we're done here, because I need to know about that. I usually keep up with like a lot of the sort of big stuff that's happening in the world, but yeah, I don't know what that's about. If it's possible to give me like a little sum up, I would love to see that, but I'm gonna check it out after. But yeah, sorry, I can't comment on it because I have no idea what it's about, but it kind of sounds terrifying. No, Pete, we should not talk about Make Jock Boy Cry at all, ever. Seriously. This is like the joy of having someone like Pete and I were roommates for quite a few years when we were both quite young, like 20s. So we're still young, right, Pete? Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Vortex. We haven't talked about it at all because I've totally missed. I am so sorry, guys. I don't know what the hell is going on with my Wi-Fi. I'm gonna apparently both be looking up this Mean Girls thing plus calling my internet provider, 2 phones, and getting that sorted out because this is getting a little ridiculous. All these interruptions. I know Sage is downstairs with his other partner, and they're streaming movies, so maybe that's the problem. But it shouldn't affect my upload. So. Firebird Leather. No, I haven't heard about them. I'll check them out. Oh, Brittany Simon reviewed one. I saw her video and I haven't watched it yet because I'm behind on the videos I need to watch. But yeah, I'm going to check that out for sure. How do you get over being so shy and quiet? Hardly. I don't know entirely. I gotta be honest with you. I clearly I don't think I come across as a shy person. I'm not. I am fairly outgoing. I think that you just kind of have to push yourself out of your comfort zone a lot of the time. But also set realistic goals, right? So you're not going to go to an event and be the life of the party, center of attention, whatever, unless that's something that you enjoy, but I'm assuming shy, probably not something you enjoy. But you push yourself just a little bit out of the comfort zone. So if you are, say, going to a munch and you're nervous and you don't know anybody, you say, I'm going to talk to one person tonight. That's it. 5 minutes, that's cool. 10 minutes, great. More than that, fantastic. But I'm going to talk to one person. And you go and you force yourself to talk to one person, right? And it's probably be awkward or whatever. And then the next time you can talk to 2 people or 3 people and just set reasonable goals for yourself. Again, that's not something that I've ever had to really fight with, but I've certainly had other partners that have been quite shy. I've had partners that are very shy, and so they just kind of get in next to me because I will, like, I'm the way I am here is the way I am in real life, and I will just sit and like talk your ear off if you let me. So they can kind of be social vicariously through me by sitting next to me, and then they'll get drawn into the conversation as well. So that's like another way if you have an outgoing friend that is into the same stuff. Just tag along there. But I think that I think that it's hard to overcome. But yeah, you have to just push yourself that tiny bit out of your comfort zone, just a little bit, not too far, because if you go like, I'm going to talk to everyone at the party, that's like a really hard goal. Even for like a social person, that's a really hard goal. So, little baby steps, but, and it's hard. And it's okay if you go and you just can't talk to one person or whatever it is. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just try again, right? Don't give up. But yeah, I'll look into it a little more as well, because I know that that's a common problem. Excuse me, I'm like, ugh, I've been sick all week, so I'm still a little phlegmy. But it's a common problem. And know that as well. Like, you're certainly not alone. There's a lot of shy people. Oh, and always remember that the kink community seems to be made up of a lot of, like, sort of geeky people and, like, people that don't necessarily fit into regular stuff a lot of the time. Like, a lot of us are weird and geeky, and, so I've told you guys many times, I was hosting a femdom party, and one night we ended up sitting around and talking about Skyrim more than anything else, because we were all just like, oh, because the game had just come out, and I was like, oh, have you played it? Oh, I love playing it. Oh, so yeah. don't worry too much about that sort of stuff because we're all just geeky. So if you have geeky interests, you'll fit right in. Okay. I'm just, yeah, all right. So, pictures and videos. So this is the Mean Girls thing that was referenced earlier. Pictures and videos of broken ribs, severe marks and bruising in the kidneys. Lots of marks along the spine on various subs. Oh, wow. That sounds absolutely horrific. I gotta be honest. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out, Vortex. Thank you for bringing that to my attention because I'm not on Twitter a lot anymore. It just doesn't, it's just not the place that it used to be. I used to love Twitter so much, but I haven't been on there all that much. But yeah, I'm gonna check that out for sure. Thank you for letting me know because that sounds awful. But yeah, I'll check it out and then we can all have a little talk about it because that does sound something. Wow. Okay. Oh, excellent, Pete. Thank you for bringing that up. Talking about shy stuff and, hanging out with me. And then I had DM duty, so she had, I'm the she in this situation. He had to kind of fend for himself. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I see some conversation about like faux leather and stuff for floggers and that. Yeah, there's definitely some really good options out there. Like looking for some really good vegan stuff for you guys. Because I want to find some like good suppliers of vegan toys because I know not everyone is good with leather and suede and all that kind of stuff or animal products in general. No, I had a big puppy. You can see a tail right here. Yeah, hey bud. But yeah, I'm gonna look into some like vegan stuff for you guys, and I'll have some reviews at some point. I just haven't found anything that I really love yet, but I'm working on it. So if anyone watching makes vegan toys, let me know so that we can work something out. Yeah. Okay. I see like all these amazing conversations like between you guys. This is awesome. This is what I wanted for my channel so that everybody can kind of connect and give advice because everyone has really good advice to share and experiences. So Demi, does leather butt go away? Not really. It's one of those things like it builds up over time. Yeah, yours has been a target for 20 something years. It's a little tough. Yeah. The best thing that you can really do is like sort of deep tissue massage. Like the same kind of thing that you would do with like stretch marks or scars. So like massage and cocoa butter and like that type of thing, like that deep stuff. Are you whiny, Wolfie? Please be nice. Yes. You're gigantic and adorable. Don't give me that look. Sorry, I had to have a conversation with my dog. But yeah, and just sort of work like massage and try to break some of it up because some of it is going to be like scar tissue that's built up, but some of it is just like the natural toughening of the skin. Think like when you wear shoes that rub on a certain part of your foot, you get some calluses. Same kind of thing. It's like a big callus on your butt or wherever. So I mean, like, yeah, it would go away if you just didn't play for a long time, but that would suck, right? So yeah, just try. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that if you are like really into like receiving heavy impact play, it happens over time. I know quite a few people in my own community that like, yeah, they're so hard to mark. They're hard to like. They wear out DOMs sometimes and tops. They're just like, we're all like, I'm exhausted, and they're like, more. So it happens sometimes for sure. Um, let's see. Oh, actually, I just thought of something. Somebody was like, "Oh, I'm not a fan of vegan leather. It just feels like fancy plastic." I agree. I'm not a huge fan of it myself, but well, it depends. I like wearing stuff like PVC, but I don't like it for toys as much. But rope is another good thing. I've got a bunch of rope floggers, and so that is a potential vegan option. Rope tends to be stingy though, so be aware of that. Uh, I see a few people who like to befriend the shy people. That is always an excellent thing to do. I try to talk to people like that look shy or whatever when I'm out at munches, because I think that I know that it's scary and intimidating. I mean, like I've been to munches all over Canada, all over the US, because whenever I'm traveling, I'm just like, is there a munch when I'm gonna be there? I'll show up. Because I like meeting new kinky people. It's fun. So I do that a lot, but again, I'm very outgoing, so it's a little easier for me. But yeah, I always try to talk to the shy people because I appreciate the people that sort of see me, see that I'm new and maybe like a little nervous or whatever, and talk to me. So, and if you guys are outgoing people and you do attend munches, try to help out the shy folks and talk to them a little and include them in some conversation. We can all be good people and help each other out. Um, Oh, just preventing, as far as preventing leather butt, it's a matter of like giving yourself time between play sessions, not going too hard, but it's one of those inevitable, I think, things that if you're playing for long enough, it's gonna happen. Again, it's basically like building up a callus against like a shoe that rubs or whatever. But just if you try to give a little more time between play scenes, or like really heavy impact on one area. So try to move it around on different parts of the body a little bit. But sometimes sometimes it's just gonna happen. Especially if you're into more heavy impact. It just means you'll have to play harder. Like sort of, it's not like a horrible thing. Like, please don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like, oh my god, it's gonna look bad or whatever. The skin looks the same. It just, when you're doing play, it'll be a bit harder to bruise, maybe a bit less sensitive, that kind of thing. It's not a huge deal. Like, so don't freak out, guys. It's okay. But yeah. Ooh. Seeing Sharon's horsehair flogger soon. That's awesome. I have like just a pure horsehair flogger, but I don't have leather and horse. That sounds amazing. Um, oh, make your own flogger night. That sounds like fun. Uh, oh, getting a lifestyle tattoo. That's an interesting question. Some people in the lifestyle know that you're there. Um, so that's one of those like there are some symbols that people use to represent BDSM, but they're certainly not universal. And sometimes they're used by other people. So probably the most popular is the triskelion. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I've only ever seen it written. I've never seen it or heard anybody say it out loud. But basically, it sort of looks like a yin yang, but there's three sections to it. If you like literally Google BDSM symbol, the triskelion will pop up. And so that would be an option, I'd say. I there's different things that you could do, like you could get a flogger or whatever, a paddle. Depends on how obvious you want to be about it. But there's not really a symbol that everybody who's kinky would know. It'd be hard to like sort of advertise that. Um, but it would probably be worth it, I guess. Maybe trying something like that, incorporating it into a tattoo. But I just wouldn't. You know what? Most kinky people are pretty discreet, anyways. So it might not work in that scenario. But you may get some people being like, "Oh, nice tattoo. Does it mean anything?" And waiting for that. But then it's awkward because you still got to be like, "Well, actually, yes, it does. It's." So but it'd be worth a shot if it's something you're interested in doing. And what position are you? I am a dominant sadist total bitch, basically. I like to be in charge of my relationships, and I really like to hurt people in a consensual way. So that is kind of me in a nutshell. And so let's see what else. Um, oh yeah, and see about like people paying for stuff. Yeah, I'm always like I like to be equal in payments and stuff until we negotiate otherwise. Um, and like for instance, in my relationship, he tends to pay for stuff. And certainly our first couple of dates, he paid. I offered to pay. I was not opposed to that. But he wanted to. So like I didn't offer to pay for him. I was gonna pay for me. He pays for himself, but he said no, 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 let me pay. I appreciated that. And I think like on our second or third date, I paid for something as well. But I think like it's sort of like vanilla dating in that, especially in the beginning where it's like, you know, try to make things at least semi-equal. I also think that it's an important conversation to have in a relationship about like, because I mean, like if you are two people that have different income levels, maybe the person with more disposable income is able, obviously they're going to be able to buy more things, but maybe they are willing to share that with their partner because they want to do things, but their partner can't afford it, so they pay for the partner kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think there's any like, specific rule of like, oh, subs should pay or doms should pay or whatever. Like, I mean, for some people, there certainly are. That's how they think it should be done for them. But for me, I'm like, yeah, we'll negotiate it out, and figure that out. But like, yeah, it's just one of those kind of things. You gotta figure it out. So yeah, when I go out, my partner does tend to pay for things. Probably he'll pay for like two things and I'll pay for one thing. But he also makes more money than I do. So and that's just sort of how things have worked out within our relationship. But when it comes to our household bills, I like he pays our bill, like we split the rent. He pays for like the electricity and all that, and I buy the food. And trust me, I am losing in that particular situation. He eats way more than I do, so it all works out in the end. But yeah, you gotta negotiate it and talk. And as far as toys and stuff go, I mean, I came with a ton of toys, and he likes certain things, and so he'll buy some toys here and there for us, and it was great. It's great. I still buy toys as well, depending on what I want. If it's something that I really want that he's not all that interested in, I'm buying it. If it's something that he really wants, then he's buying it. If it's something we both really want, then he tends to buy that too. But yeah, we try to keep it as equal as possible because that's just the way that our relationship is right now. May change in the future, I don't know, but because we have big plans for the future where, I may be making more than him at some point, so we'll see. But okay, thank you, Sharon. I'm gonna check that out when I get off of the live stream because I can't wait to see that. Um, oh, visually impaired and starting in the kink community. Yeah, probably very much the same type of advice that I would give to anybody. Just starting out with munches and all that. Something to be aware of is that dungeons and play parties and stuff like that do tend to be kind of cluttered, which I would imagine could be challenging for somebody who's visually impaired. And of course, it would depend on the degree of impairment that you have. We had a fellow that used to come out to our community, he's moved away now, who was legally blind and used a white cane to get around. And I mean, oh my god, I used to, like, you see him get around and he's so quick and everything, and I'd be like, oh my god, you're gonna die. But he had it. He was good. He just, he being blind for, I think, all of his life. And he knew how to navigate, and I just freak out because I have pain, so when I see somebody about to collide with something, I'm like, oh, it's gonna hurt so much. And it doesn't for them because they have normal pain responses, but I don't. So yeah, like I would say, yeah, you'd have to sort of be cautious there. There is a lot of stuff, like, don't let anyone tell you you can't do things, because that same fellow, I was able to help him learn how to flog. We did all kinds of various things, and it was just a matter of sitting down and thinking about it. There's probably going to be a lot of curious people. You might come across a few assholes, but I think for the most part, people are going to assume, as in life, that you are unable to do things. And you and I both know that's bullshit. You're able, I'm sure, to do whatever it is that you want to do. So, you need to be confident in your abilities, and you need to be able to sort of share that confidence with other people and let them know, like, no, I can still do this stuff. And yeah, you might have to sit down and figure out how to do things in a way that would work within, like, your abilities. But yeah, I think that I don't think that having a visual impairment is going to stop you from enjoying kink play. If you go back and check out the book review I just did recently, Hell on Wheels, Disabled Dominance, one of the stories was written by a dominant man who was legally blind, and I loved his story because he talked about, and I sort of mentioned this in the review, talked about getting his sub in a room and then shutting off all the lights, and it was pitch black, and she was like, stumbling everywhere and trying to, like, oh god, I don't know where I'm going, and he was just like, welcome to my world. I'm king here because I can get around. I'm used to it. And she was totally thrown off and lost. And it was a really good way, I think, of, like, showing people that, like, I can use this to my advantage. Like, it's not going to hold me back, but I'm even going to use it as an advantage, not, something else. So, yeah, it was a really good read. I'm still, like, in love with that book. But, yeah, again, you're going to run into all the same shit that you do in any place. The world is not built for people that have various, disabilities or whatever. And I don't know if you personally consider your visual impairment to be a disability, so I don't want to, put labels on you. But yeah, you're gonna run into all of that, the same shit that you do day-to-day life. But you can do it. Like, don't ever let anyone tell you there's stuff you can't do. There's very few things that I could possibly think of that you absolutely need perfect vision to do. So yeah, just be confident, and don't let anyone kind of push you around or make you feel that you need to take on a certain role or that you can't do whatever. So the fellow that I was talking about in my community, he was a switch. So he played on, top, bottom, dom, sub, and had a great time. So I hope that is helpful for you. Sorry, that was for Bubba Woodward. So I hope that was helpful for you. And I'm gonna do a little more research so that I can actually give you guys a proper video about different disabilities and stuff like that, and how to kind of navigate stuff within the kink world. But that's going to be a bit of a longer term like project for me. But hopefully within the next few months we're going to have some videos about that. And I'm going to try to include some other stuff in, like, some of my workaround videos and everything. So YouTube disables links. Yeah, they do that. Any of you guys who, like, post links in any of the comments on my videos, like, it gets flagged immediately, because YouTube just does. I think they don't want you linking to porn, so they just assume everything is porn. So Yeah, Sharon, for sure. Like, I always like to remind people that you're all temporarily abled, right? You're gonna join me at some point. Maybe not to the same degree, but if we live long enough, we're all going to become disabled at some point, right? And like, why should we stop doing kink? Like, I'm gonna be the kinkiest lady in the nursing home. I'm telling you that right now. Uh, and nursing home people are already pretty wild. Uh, I believe Sharon mentioned she was also a paramedic. Like, we pick up some weird stuff at the old folks' homes. They get up to a lot of fun. Just to, like, have everyone think of their grandparents getting on right now. Ugh. Yeah, Greg, I really do try to talk about disabilities a lot. I mean, like, I am disabled, so I think that sort of puts it to the fore for me. But yeah, I just want people to know that you don't have to, be able-bodied in order to do this. Certainly being able-bodied makes life a lot easier, but I mean, I'm not going to let anything ever hold me back. So, um, I want to share that with other people for sure. Um, Oh, pet play. I'm not a huge expert at pet play. It's something that I've kind of done a little bit here and there. But I would first off find out what pet play means for your friend. Because for some people it is like sexual play, some people it's non-sexual play, some people want both. Some people you find out what kind of animal, what sort of pet. Because there's a whole world of pets out there. Um, but also just find out what type of things that your friend is interested in as far as pet play goes. So, like, are they interested in just like having some time where they can just kind of get into their pet mindset and play with toys or whatever as that particular pet, or are they looking more for again like a more sexual experience? So you have to sort of decide what you're good with as well. But I'm not a big expert on pet play. I think that if you check out Evie Lupine, that's it. Her channel. Usually it sort of pops up in the recommended channels because she also does like a lot of BDSM stuff. I know that she's really into pet play, so her channel may be quite helpful for you. Um, because yeah, I think that's what she's primarily into. So definitely check out her stuff because she'll have a lot more about it. But yeah, I'm not a big pet play person, so I don't really know. I had somebody that was into it, and it was kind of awkward because I just didn't know what to do, and they didn't know what to do, and yeah, it was kind of like it was a bit of a disappointment for both of us because we just neither of us had enough structure there to like actually enjoy ourselves. Um, oh, there we go. Somebody is saying Evie Lupine. A lot of videos about pet play. Excellent. A few people mentioning Evie. Um, yeah. Oh, absolutely, Sharon. Mental health within BDSM, absolutely. Like we can figure it all out, right? We just need to work within our limitations, and what works for us. Oh, okay. Yeah, Greg. I see you are also in the kind of sucky disabled club. I don't know. I always tell people it's like joining a club that just kind of sucks sometimes. But I acquired my disability later in life, so I think sometimes it's a different perspective for people that were born with it versus people that have acquired it. But yeah, I don't think these things should hold us back. If there's stuff we want to do, obviously we have to do things differently. And it's something that I've got a lot of videos coming up about that very shortly because it's touched my life so much. I was disabled before my recent accident, but not to the same degree, and now I'm a wheelchair user, so it's really opened up a whole new thing in my life. So, but yeah. Let's see. Do I play hard games? I don't know what you mean by hard games, Raul. But I play hard usually. I'm a sadist, so. we've got, let me see, Amy, welcome. And yeah, also with fibromyalgia. So, and that sucks. I have a lot of friends that have fibro, and it seems like a really awful kind of disease. But again, we just got to work out what works for us and all that. And yeah. There's so many of you guys here. I'm seeing, yep, disabled as well. Oh, disabled, disabled. Yeah. Because there's so many of us out there. Like, we make up, like, I think it's like 10% of the population or something like that. And again, the longer you live, the more chances you are of becoming disabled. There's arthritis. Oh man, I got a ton of arthritis already, like, because I had such a physical job for so long, and it catches up with you. But, it's gonna happen to all of us at some point. So, yes, Misty Memory, mental health and BDSM, totally possible with good communication and between play partners. Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of people kind of get scared off. I would absolutely just, for those looking for like more in-depth stuff about mental health and BDSM, Brittany Simon, absolutely amazing person, and she talks a lot about, she has BPD, so she talks a lot about her experience with borderline, sorry, not bipolar, but borderline and being in the kink world. I hate my internet right now. I just got kicked off again. But, so, let's get back to the questions. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Brittany Simon. Check out her channel. I interviewed her on this channel. You guys can check that out if you're interested, and then definitely go over and give her channel a view, because her stuff is really cool. She's got a bit of a different perspective than I do, which is awesome, because I think it's important to get lots of different perspectives. And she's just a genuinely amazing person. Like we talked about with each other before the collab that we did, and I didn't want to get off Skype with her, because I was just like, oh my god, we're like old friends. This is fantastic. We just, you click with people. She's amazing. So yeah, check out her stuff, because she talks a lot about mental health and kink, and definitely sort of has more experience with that than I do. And I think that it's important to talk about these things from a position of experience. So, so, I never know how to pronounce the like MX, so I apologize, but whip stitch here. I'm talking about ACE peer educators. I think that's awesome. I mean, obviously I love ACE people, because hi. But yeah, I think that we can bring a different perspective to things. And as I just finished saying, a different perspective is always good to take on board. You don't have to listen to all of the different perspectives, or follow them, but I think just taking them on board and learning through multiple people like that is fantastic. And it's just, I mean, yay, ACEs. For those of you guys watching and you have no clue what I'm talking about as far as ACEs, asexual. So people that do not experience sexual attraction. It is like a brain. It's an orientation. It's similar to, like, we have gay people, we have bi people, we have straight people. ACEs would be on that particular spectrum of, just not experiencing sexual attraction. So, Kane says playing regularly helps relieve their PTSD. Fantastic. And I think that a lot of people they get freaked out by PTSD. And I mean, you have to know obviously what your triggers are. I'm lucky in that the PTSD that I suffer from is not something that I'm going to encounter in a kink situation. But, if you do have those triggers, you just have to know them and communicate that, right? And as you can see, it can be a helpful thing for some people. I think that's amazing, like, for sure. Yeah, being disabled and finding a partner is really tough. Greg, I'd love to check out the book you're writing. I would love to see that because I think there needs to be more stuff about it. I would like to as well write something about disability and kink in general and finding partners and all of that. I feel like I need more experience with it first and like in my current situation. But I would love to check out what you're doing there. But yeah, it's hard. Because like not only is it really hard to find a partner to begin with, but then you have this other thing that they have to be okay with, right? And I mean, obviously, like the degree of disability is going to, be a big determinant there as well. But, and then of course there's the devotees, and that gets a little creepy sometimes. So sorry guys, it's not my thing. But for some people, they're into it. For other people, they're not. I'm going to do a video about it sometime, but it's just one of those things that really, I have a very visceral reaction to it. And I want to approach the subject matter in an objective as possible way. It will by no means be objective. It will be totally biased because I'm not capable of that. But right now, that visceral response is just too much for me. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little more in the future. But yeah, it's definitely a thing that happens. There we go. Yeah, we've got another person who says like, rope play and all that makes them feel better with a lot of the stuff. Okay, bye, Pete. I'll hit you up very soon. So yeah. Like I'm gonna throw the router across the room. I swear. Oh, how do you manage a romantic relationship in kink without feeling bad? I'm incredibly into BDSM, but I can't let my sadistic side come out with my romantic partners like I need to. I think that's a fairly common problem, Angel. It happens a lot. What I think we need to remember is that if we have a partner that is a masochist or a bottom or whatever, then when we are being sadistic, we're giving them what they want. Okay? So when, I mean, like, I tell my partner that, he'll be like, you're hitting me. And I'm like, yes, that's sadist for I love you. Because for me, sorry, the dog's like making a ton of noise again. But for me, playing is one of the ways that I express my affection for somebody. So when I hurt him, in the ways that he consents to and that he enjoys, that's me saying, I love you or whatever. It's us sharing some intimacy together. So I think that you kind of need to reframe it in your mind a little bit where you're not, we're not hurting to harm, right? We are just hurting people. It's hurt, not harm, right? So we're not doing damage. We're not doing a negative thing. We're doing a positive thing. We're giving people what they want, two sides of a coin kind of thing. We work together that way. And that's how you can kind of, and it's hard. It's hard to get over because we have all this social programming that says you don't hit people. You especially don't hit people you love. You don't do this kind of thing. But, yeah, you just have to reframe it so that you're like, no, this is how I express love and affection to my partner. So, what are we doing, buddy? I have a giant dog right behind me. Hi, yes. Come here. No, don't chew on my arm. Come here, bud. Come on. There we go. Can you sit for me, please? Hey, sit. Good boy. There we are. All right. Mix. Thank you. Mix whip stitch. That is like a tongue twister. I see I'm not the only one with pronunciation problems. Harley, is there a way to spot a fake versus real dom? again, I think that it would be a matter of reframing things. We are looking for compatible and not compatible. So just because somebody isn't compatible or doesn't do it the way that you want them to or you think they should, doesn't mean they're fake necessarily. So if you kind of look at it as, hey, this person is compatible with me versus this person is not compatible with me, it's a bit easier to figure out. And then, but it also explains to you how you need to separate the two. You talk to each other, you figure out, are you into the things that I'm into? Do you do things the way that I think they should be done? Do we have the same opinions and ideas about BDSM? And then we can, sorry, chin scritches. And then, you know, we can figure out from there, are we compatible? But yeah, reframe it in your mind a little bit, compatible versus not compatible, and then talk about those important things. And I like to talk about the big things first. Like I need to have a relationship where I am in charge, you know, the leader of the relationship 24/7. So that's something that I, you know, usually mention pretty quickly. You know, just like all the other things that I tend to bring out in the beginning. You know, like, I don't want children. So it's always, that's like the most awkward. I have the like most awkward dates, let me tell you, because I'm just like, so kinky as fuck, I'm poly, I don't want kids, and I have a list of stuff. And, you know, we have to go through those things. And so you weed out pretty quickly the ones who aren't compatible. So yeah, again, it's a reframing thing. So yeah, everybody loves Wolfgar. It's because he's ginormous. Does he chew the equipment? No, no, he's pretty good. He doesn't. He only chews his toys for the most part. We got him. We get him like these bones that are like, it's got to be like, you know, a cow's leg or something. It's huge. From the butcher, and he eats those, and that's pretty much it. And he's got a Kong, but yeah, he does not chew any of the equipment. He checks it out. He's always been a really curious dog, and he noses everything, which usually means there's a lot of drool that gets on everything because English Mastiff and drool. But so I follow him around sometimes with a cloth and clean him up, and clean up all the stuff. But I have this like one camping pillow that he's obsessed with, and I don't know why, but every time I like turn my back on him, he'll grab this stupid camping pillow. I'm thinking of just giving it to him, but yeah. Okay, Will is a sub at the end of his rope in search of a dom. It's hard, and I mean, like, I totally understand where you're at. It's it's really tough to find a partner and a compatible partner. And I think it's harder for some people than for others. Uh, Definitely, I'm just sort of making a guess based on your name, and you said you were a sub, but you're probably a male sub, and that can be really hard, especially if you're looking for a female dominant. If you're looking for a male dominant, a little easier, but if you are looking for a woman dominant, it can be hard. And I've talked before about, I think that it's really important to try to get out into the community, because there's a lot of people, especially online, we have a lot of people who say they're submissive, and male, female, it doesn't matter. And a lot who say they're dominant as well. And a lot of these people have fantasies but have never done this in real life. So if you are looking for a real life experience, then I really think you need to like get out and do it in real life. Now, do you go out to you know, a play party, a munch or whatever, and then like have your pick? No, it doesn't really work that way. But you go out and you meet people and chill and all that. And I think that when we're laser focused on something, I was kind of talking about this earlier, but if we're laser focused on finding a partner, it comes across as really like, I think the kids are calling it thirsty now, but it's desperate, right? And it shows. But if you're out there and you're just there to like meet people and chill and have a good time and work on your like, and then you're working on yourself, and making yourself the best person that you can be, outside of these things, then I think like it helps sort of make it a bit better, right? So like if you just go to the munch with the idea, hey, I'm gonna make some friends and hang out with some cool people, and if I meet the person of my dreams, fantastic. If not, I still had a good time because all I was doing is going to hang out with some friends and meet cool people in general, right? So you kind of have that. But I understand. It sucks. Like it's hard to find compatible partners, and because like so we already have the like the whole okay, you know, it's hard for anyone to find a partner, and then we're like, oh, but I have these kinks, and we've really narrowed our pool of potential partners down. And then, oh, well, I need a person who not only is kinky but is compatible kinky, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's hard. There's just not, you know, a huge pool of people that you're going from. But yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream too. Don't fish in Lake Vanilla. Go to the kinky pond if you want to find a kinky person. But yeah, just try not to get too discouraged. I know my partner was getting really discouraged, when he and I ended up meeting. We'd known each other for quite a while, very casually. He'd come to one of my workshops, and I'd see him around the community every now and then. But we were both, you know, different partners involved in relationships and stuff like that. And then we ran into each other at a party, and we both happened to be single at the time. I happened to be leaving the country in 2 weeks. You know, for an extended period of time. And so we were long distance for quite a while because that's what kind of worked for us. And we weren't exclusive. He was free to see other people, and I had absolutely no interest in dating anybody at that point. But then he showed up, and it was like, well, he's pretty awesome. Maybe I should be interested in dating him. So, yeah, these things kind of happen sometimes when you least expect it. But yeah, it's one of those things. I think we just have to, you know, don't get discouraged. I know that's a lot easier for me to say than for you to do, though. So you'd certainly have my empathy. I know that it's tough, but just hang in there. It's the best I can say. I'm sorry. Sorry, I just see Miss Me Memory saying, I'm assuming that CBT refers to cock and ball torture and not cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah, it's always when we've been talking about mental health, that we definitely have to make that clear, because one, it probably will help your mental health. The other may also help your mental health if that's what you're into. But yeah, I am totally that person when my doctor is like, maybe we should try some CBT, and I'm like, because I have the mind of a 12-year-old sometimes. So Quebec City, I've never been out to, well, I mean, I've been to Quebec City, but not as an adult looking for kink stuff. I'd be interested to see, I'm seeing the scene is not so great. I know the Montreal scene is like out of this world, but not exactly close. There is quite a bit of distance between Quebec City and Montreal, so. Yeah, Sharon, I absolutely, we're just gonna agree the whole time, I think. But I agree, it's not that much easier being a female dominant. There's lots of guys who say that they're submissive, but what they really want is just to have their kinks done to them. They want a pro dom, but for free. And when I was talking earlier about people that like, oh, you bring a book to the coffee shop to meet people because you don't know if they're going to show. Most of those are dominant women that I was talking about who were like, hey, submissive man online, let's get together and we'll meet and see if we're compatible. And these guys don't show. So that happens a lot. So I don't think it's any easier for us. Maybe a little bit easier. I'll give it that. But yeah, it's because we're all in a very small niche thing here. There's not a lot of us. And it doesn't matter if there's 100 subs out there. If none of them are compatible with you, no partner, right? So yeah, it's a tough go for everybody. But I absolutely understand some of these people that are having a hard time. And I mean, like, gender aside, it doesn't matter. It's hard for everyone, but yeah, it's yes, absolutely. I love if you can find a kink friendly a therapist or other medical professionals. Absolutely. So I, because I am who I am, I got to explain basically, the world of actual BDSM to my therapist because she was not familiar. She kind of like, she knew 50 Shades stuff, but that was it. And I'm like, no, 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 it's not like that. Um, so yeah. She's very open minded. I'll give her that. I love my therapist. She's awesome, but it was an awkward conversation. Let me tell you. Thankfully, it's what I do for a living, so it makes it a bit easier. Um, yeah, Kane for sure. Again, it's that when we sort of are, okay, so if we're gay, or lesbian or whatever, then we've got that sort of smaller dating pool, and then add kinky. And I mean, I'll admit that, like, so my introduction to the kink world was through the queer scene. Um, and for the longest time, and I mean, like, I'm probably a lot older than a lot of you guys, um, and being gay was not a thing that was, like, really accepted in society when I was younger. And so I didn't know a lot about, like, gay people or lesbians or any of it. I thought I might be a part of that world, and it turns out I am, just in a different way. But when I've told this story before. When I was younger, I wasn't attracted to men, so I assumed I must have been a lesbian, but then I realized I wasn't attracted to women either. But I was totally cool with dating either or. I just didn't have that sexual attraction. That's how I figured out I was ace. But anyways, I thought that all gay people were kinky because that was my introduction to it all. And that's obviously not the case. And so yeah, when we kind of we end up in these, like, little niches, and it's hard. But like I said, I think for me, uh, it ends up being that much more worth it when we find that partner who is compatible with us, because you know that they are literally one in a million or whatever, right? They are that special. And we are that special because we're that perfect partner for them. So I think that's pretty amazing when you are able to find it. It's just a hard road to get there sometimes. Um, okay. Yeah, I see. I drank what? Saying that some kink scenes can be very cliquish, and that is a definite thing. Okay, buddy, away from the camera, please. Come on, sit down. Sorry, you guys can't even see him. He's just out of frame. Come on, bud, sit. Be a good boy. Yeah, I think sometimes when we're dealing with really established communities, and especially ones that have very sort of more strict protocols and that, it can be really, really hard to break in. So I know that the leather scene itself is really open and welcoming to people, but I think it seems really scary when you meet all these leather people and they have this whole world that is completely alien. But all the leather people I've ever met have been amazing. And for those of you who are not familiar, leather is sort of like a subsection of the BDSM world, where it is a little more strict, and they have, as far as like different sort of cultural ideas, I guess, surrounding kink. Please do not lick the camera, Wolfie. I know you love everybody, but no kisses. So yeah, and it can be a little tricky. Hey, oh, hello, please do not lick my makeup off my face. Okay, yes. Oh. Okay, so now it's going to be Wolfgar hour. He's going to take all your questions and drool all over them, because that's what he does. But yeah, It's tough. But the other thing that I suggest to people is that, like, I mean, pretty much wherever you are, uh, consider trying a munch on your own. You know, and just say like, hey, you know, uh, gonna be meeting here. Usually with munches, the way it goes is the first couple of times you get to sit at the coffee shop by yourself reading the book or the restaurant or the pub, and then people will start to show up. But you know, you may find there's got to be other people that feel the same way. So it's always worth a try, I think. But it's obviously it's entirely up to you. Uh, Sorry, I'm just reading Deemy Damn It. My physical therapist asked if I had ever tried E-stim for my chronic back pain and totally giggled out loud and said, yes, I have, but not for that. Yeah, yeah. I can relate for sure. Um, Thankfully, my physical therapist is really, really cool too. I've managed to get a really good team put together. Um, I mean, like, you spend enough time with these people, you want to make sure that they're all right. But yeah, she kind of laughs sometimes with some, like, the conversations we have are awful. She comes to my home too, just for the record. So she comes into my house. Like, obviously the dungeon is not, you know, easily accessible to the rest of the house. But I mean, like, I've got that beautiful pillory hanging on the wall. I did the review on that in my living room where we do my physical therapy. And there's Sage's art everywhere. For those of you who don't know, my partner is a fantastic artist and he does a lot of fetish imagery. You should follow him on Instagram at Sage Noir. Yeah, at Sage Noir on Instagram. He's awesome. You'll see me link to him a bunch. But like, yeah, so his artwork is like all over the place and it's like hardcore BDSM, like very explicit stuff. It's kind of funny. And she's cool. She's never really commented on it. And I was just explaining to her about play parties the other day. She's like, wait, but you guys do it all open, they open in front of people? I'm like, well, sex, not so much. Doesn't happen at the play parties that much. But the spanking, yes, we do that in front of everyone. So it was an interesting session. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of people that this is for Passion Gaming Quebec. I think there's a lot of people, certainly I've experienced it, I'm sure others have too, that they fight internally about whether they want kink or not. So they're like, yes, I do, and they'll come and they'll engage, have some playtime or whatever, and then they love it, but because they loved it so much, it scares them, and then they back off, and you don't hear from them. Sometimes you never hear from them again, or in your case, if you know this person is coming back to you every once in a while, and it's because she's conflicted, probably. And the fact that she's enjoying the time scares her, and it's at Sage Noir, Noir, so French word for black, basically. So yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, so what I was saying, sorry, I get distracted by all these little things popping up all over the place. But yeah, so leaving, coming back is unfortunately kind of common. It's also why when I was talking earlier about, you know, we wait for people to show up to munches a couple of times because we're so used to people showing up and then disappearing and never coming back, right? So we don't want to get attached to people or whatever. So it's, let's see. No, not Wolfgar is not from Forgotten Realms. He is no, he's an English Mastiff. We are getting close to 200 pounds right now. I'll know for sure. He's going in for his shots at the vet soon, like his yearly checkup and all that. So he's an English Mastiff. They are huge dogs. And yeah, his name is just because basically Wolfgar was a fairly common name in England in the Dark Ages and that sort of time period. And I have a thing for that particular time period because you can see I'm covered in like Viking tattoos and stuff. But basically, I wanted to give him a name that was like, because he's an English Mastiff, and that's where the dog breed came from. So, yeah, that's kind of how his name came about. But I've been asked many times if I took the name. I didn't even put it together. That the name was from Forgotten Realms. I should have known that, but so, but yeah, he's an absolutely huge dog. Okay, so I'm saying goodbye to all of the people that needed to leave. I'm sorry if you're gone before I say goodbye. But thank you all for coming out and that. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Okay, Diamond, asking about where to get information for your wife. You can, if you feel that she would be ready for it, you can show her some videos from my channel, by all means. I always tell people to, when we talk about BDSM and that, we want to talk about just really, sort of the simple stuff. We don't want to use a lot of jargon and that sort of thing. We want to just be like, hey, I like it when you take control. I like it when I'm in control. I like it when you spank me or I spank you or whatever, that kind of language. And they don't always need to, I see a dog playing with toys behind me. Those sticks are not for you. But we don't always need to explain all of BDSM, right? Because, I don't think you could. But just, explain what you need to, right? Explain, obviously, that everything is consensual. I think that is a really important point to explain. And just keep it sort of tame in the beginning, and especially if you are just exploring yourself as well. And then you can try different books. I actually, sorry, I'm just like, the dog is all over the place here. I have a book called Exploring BDSM, and it's really how to walk through, with a partner, and that's what it's designed for, is to just sort of walk you through stuff. So shameless plug for my book. But there's other books out there as well. BDSM 101 by Jay Wiseman is an excellent book. Different Loving, I mentioned that earlier, is a good sort of relationship-based book. But there's lots of different resources like that out there that you can sort of check out. FetLife is always an option, but FetLife, especially for people who identify as women, can be kind of a shitty place in the beginning, so it may be not the best choice. But yeah, there's just keep it really simple and then explore and learn together. And I think that's probably your best bet. Siege did Venom and Pennywise and followed. Awesome. Yeah, he's an absolutely phenomenal artist and getting better every day. Oh yeah, I really do like to go all medieval. It's fun. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to scroll through and see all the comments here. Yeah, Alice is saying, I've experienced that fear of liking things in BDSM quite a bit, and it takes a while to accept it. Absolutely it does. I mean, we have these desires that are, we're told are weird or perverted or whatever, and it's hard to come to terms with that. Sometimes, I think. It can be rough. So I've talked to a lot of people that were in the position of, I can't remember the name of the person earlier who asked about not being able to be sadistic towards people that they're in relationships with. And I've walked people through like scenes sometimes where it's like, okay, we all had a little talk and consented to stuff, and I, you know, hit the bottom and, get that like little like, oh, or a giggle or whatever, but a happy noise. And then I would say to the nervous, dominant and or top, did you hear that happy noise? Well, yeah, that was neat. And then we do it again a little harder and get the happy noise. And by this point, the partner that was reluctant before is like, wait, I like that happy noise. I want to make that happy noise happen by me. Can I do? And then, they just take off from there. And all it took was seeing their partner enjoy it. So yeah, I'm kind of like off on a tangent here, but yeah, it can be really hard to accept that, that we have these desires that are, perverted or weird or whatever. So, if you guys are feeling that way, don't worry, you're not alone. Everybody kind of struggles with that, or maybe not everybody, but a lot of people struggle with that. Okay. Oh, you guys are awesome. The ones saying that you've enjoyed my books. Thank you so much. That makes me feel really good. I'm just really happy that I was able to put those together. I'm working on another one. I mean, I've been working on it for a while. But you guys know that I've had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, so it's just sort of taken me a little bit. But we're going to have some more books out soon. Unfortunately, I don't have anything in French. I feel really terrible for that. But I don't speak French, and I don't have anybody that speaks French fluently that is also able to sit down and translate books for me. So I apologize for not having that sort of resource available. I feel like a really shitty Canadian because I should speak French, but I don't. I was in Montreal recently and people kept asking me for French books, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm bad. So, but definitely something that I would like to have in the future. I just need to find somebody that can actually, sit down and help me do translations. I also want to do audiobooks for those who are visually impaired or who just enjoy audiobooks. That would be well, you're bilingual. That's awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll talk and get something sorted out. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Awesome. I see VFD couple. That's fantastic. Yeah, going out and then just trying this stuff, taking a class, like you just jump in sometimes, and that's a great way. Like I teach a lot of 101 style classes. I mentioned some of the ones that I'm teaching coming up in the feed earlier. But yeah, it's like we just go out and try it, see if you like it. It's the best way to figure it out, right? Okay, sorry, Nevermore. I'm trying to sort of parse what you're trying to say here. You did a scene and with somebody else, and it put your partner off. I hope I've got that right, and you want to try again. Um, I would suggest perhaps try doing a scene where it's just the two of you. And if that means doing sort of less intense play or less complicated play, that's fine. You can still have like an amazing scene if you're just doing like hand spanking. I've had amazing scenes that's all that was involved, and that's something that pretty much anybody can do. You just remember like your basic sort of things where you start low and slow and slowly build up your intensity. But yeah, like I would try that. If it's something that you really want to do, just don't involve another person. Obviously, if you played with somebody else and the behavior was not appropriate, then you don't play with that person again. And I would remind your partner just that, everybody is different. And so if one person was inappropriate, not everybody is going to be. But I think I would also then put a lot of more effort into screening any other future partners that you do bring in to the play, because hopefully you can avoid, whatever bad behavior there was. Uh, um, let's see. Yes, I will be doing audiobooks. I just need to work on my equipment because I don't have the sound recording equipment that I need right now. But yes, Bubba, I will have audiobooks because that is something that I've felt bad like the whole time I've had published books. I've known I should have audiobooks, and I want to make them accessible for everyone. So it is a big priority for me, and I'm hoping within the next 6 months. That's my goal, is to do that. I have a lot of goals coming up. I have a lot of work to do, but yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification. Nevermore. Yeah, it's behavior after turning my partner off. Okay. So yeah, then basically what I said. That's. I mean, people are people, but yeah, I would maybe just try. If your kinks are possible to do just the two of you, go with that, and that might be a better way to sort of ease into it. And then if you do want to involve other people, absolutely do that. Because like I said, there's lots of stuff that you guys can do, just the two of you. And if you need some skills stuff, like you can, there's a lot of different lessons online. I have a bunch of stuff. Obviously you can't do really complicated, dangerous play without, learning in a proper way. But I think online you can learn lots of stuff, vlogging and all that kind of stuff. So check out some of my, I have a whole playlist of BDSM skills. So it's all like practical stuff that you need to know. Or you don't need to know, but they are useful to know, like flogging and how the structure is seen and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Passion Gaming. My business email is on the about page because I don't want you to like put your email out there for everybody. Just drop me a line and say that we were talking in the live stream, and that way I know who it is. Um, yeah, I see a lot of people talking about guilt and shame around the idea of kinks, and it's tough. It is really really tough. Um, Oh, I didn't even realize that there's an audio option on the digital books. That's really cool. I didn't even know that. Neat. Um, okay. Tips for talking about BDSM with family and friends who are horrified by it. It's important to me, and it's a shame I can't talk openly about it. Um, so there's a couple of things there. This is for Juliet. Um, I'm kind of like, part of me is like, do they really need to know, right? Um, but if it is really important to you, and they do need to know, and especially like, I mean, if you're gonna have visible bruises, or if you're living in like a 24/7 arrangement that is a little more obvious or something like that, then yeah, they do need to know because they need to know you're safe. um, I think that it's mostly talking about it from a perspective of, this is what I choose, this is what my partner and I consent to doing. We're adults, and we are going about things in a safe way, and be able to demonstrate that, like, look, I've taken classes and I've read books and all that kind of stuff. I've taken these steps to ensure that we are safe, as safe as possible doing this stuff, right? Because we all know we can't be 100% safe. And if they say, but what if, like, things can happen in any point in life, as long as we are doing what we can to mitigate risks. So, we want to like, I mean, because we take risks all the time. You get in a car, you take a risk. You go outside, you're taking a risk. You know, like it happens. So I'm like I'm trying to put all my thoughts together on this. But yeah, as long as we can say, hey, I've taken these practical steps to reduce the risks and make it as safe as possible, and my partner and I consent to this, and we are adults. And just, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, well, the whole idea is just gross. Well, I know there are because they comment on my channel all the time and they report my videos to YouTube. Thanks, guys. Uh, so all my videos get reviewed by YouTube, and then they're like, oh wait, it's not that big of a deal. So, but it's yeah, there's going to be people that are just like, no, it's sick, it's perverted, I'm never changing my mind. And you won't change their minds, unfortunately. And then there's the ones that, you know, you might make some headway as long as you explain that it's consensual, that, you know, it's, some people, their brains just work a little differently and interpret pain as pleasure and that sort of stuff. You know, it's, we talk about like, oh, hey, like, you know, we call people that aren't into kink vanilla, right? And then we talk about ice cream, vanilla ice cream. Everybody likes a different flavor of ice cream, right? So that you just like, you know, kinky ice cream versus vanilla ice cream. And it's okay. There's like, I don't know. I think that, sorry, I'm a little all over the place there with that, and I apologize. But yeah, that's kind of how I would approach it. But also, I would just sort of be like, I mean, I don't talk to my parents, and I had for completely other reasons. But they were never, they always thought that this was pretty sick and gross and all that. So yeah, it's, I just didn't talk about it around them, and I tried to keep it to myself. Now, that wasn't always easy. You know, I'm on the internet. But, you know, it's, sometimes we have to have those boundaries. And boundaries are healthy. So, yeah, I hope that was a little bit helpful. I'm a little, like I said, all over the place right now. But, let's see. Okay. So I drank what? How did they know it was the BDSM emblem? Was it the triskelion? I'm just curious. And neck. Bold choice. I'm getting my neck done next, I think. I'm not sure yet. It's either going to be my head or my neck. We'll see. It wasn't to work on appropriate to make people uncomfortable. I'm really curious to know if it was like, I don't know what it was. Because I'm just like, what? That would be awkward. Yeah, Alan, I think that that's a very common experience. I know that, like, I mean, I always knew I was different, right? And I think a lot of us, like, I think that BDSM is kind of, like, I don't want to take anything away from, like, the struggles that queer people have gone through, because this is not the same. But I feel like BDSM, for some people at least, can be like an orientation. I know that I'm not happy with relationships that do not involve power exchange and that do not involve kink. I'm not into that at all. And so I think that a lot of us have struggled with it from a younger age. So I think that, yeah, and I can see other people saying, hey, I'm the same, I'm the same. And it's tough, for sure. But I'm glad that you were able to find all of us, because you're certainly not alone. There's a lot of us out there. But yeah, it's, I think there's a lot of shame. I mean, it's around sexuality in general, and I think a lot of us have that to work through. I saw a few people commenting on Catholic upbringings and stuff like that, and it's tough. I don't want to just, you know, be like mean to the Catholics or anything, but a lot of religious groups teach a lot of shame around sex, and I think that that's very unhealthy. Yeah, Juliet, I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you anything more concrete there, but it's because it's a tough go. And I think some people just will not be convinced. They have a picture in their mind and they won't let it go, no matter what you do. And so sometimes it's better just to try to avoid it as much as possible, which can be hard if they're bringing it up all the time. But yeah. What do I think about having multiple play partners for different kinds of play? Found that it's hard to find a single person who's into everything you're into. Absolutely, miss me memory. I definitely have partners that are, or I don't right now. I only have my one partner, but in the past I've had partners that were into more extreme play, or like, because I mean I'm into a whole range of stuff, and not everybody is into all of those things. So yeah, I think it's perfectly fine, as long as it's consensual. Everybody knows about everybody else, to whatever degree you negotiate and agree on. But yeah, I mentioned earlier in poly, and I don't see a problem with that. Obviously, if you're a monogamous person, that might be a bit of a roadblock there. But some monogamous people are cool with playing with other people as long as there's no sex involved. So you guys do monogamy the way you want to, or polyamory the way you want to, or open relationships, or whatever. But yeah, I see no problem with that. I think that it's probably a healthy thing, because yeah, not everybody's going to be into everything. Like my current partner, he's not into needles at all, and I talk about them constantly because I'm really into needles. So, like we could have been like, well, I guess we don't date, but we're totally compatible otherwise. So I just stick needles into other people sometimes, and it's fun. And, and I mean, he's got another partner because he's got needs. He's a switch, and I don't switch. So he has another partner because he needs to get those needs met. So it works out for us. But yeah, communication and consent, as always. I feel like that's like, I'm cheating you guys sometimes on an answer because I'm just like, communicate. So, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing like some videos about polyamory and open relationships, and sort of how they can work within the kink community and kink relationships. But I'd be more than happy to do those kind of videos if they are something that you guys would be interested in. Um, So, just when we're kind of talking about family, many years ago I ran like a fetish night at a club, and one of the people that helped run the night came up to me. I think it was like our first or second time that we did the night, and he's like white as a ghost, and he's like, my aunt is here, and I was like, oh well, maybe she heard it. This was in a smaller city, so. It's like, maybe she heard about it and was curious or whatever. Or is like, are you going to go talk to her? And he's like, no. You don't understand. My aunt is here and she's wearing about $1,000 worth of leather and looks like she's really into this. And I'm like, so what's the problem? Like, you're both kinky. Big deal. But yeah, I think that, I mean, if I walked into a party, even now, if I walked into a party and I saw one of my family members in $1,000 worth of leather, I'd be a little freaked out too. But I always laughed about it because it was just like the reaction of like, but she's here and she's into this. It's like, well, you guys have something else in common. But yeah, it was a pretty good one. I mean, we see those kind of things a lot because, I mean, people don't always talk about this sort of thing. This is kind of a private thing for a lot of people, and not really what you discuss with your family, I think. But if your family finds out about it, well, you can't help but discuss it. Oh, there we go. Miss me memory, just saying what I was saying about monogamy and playing without sex. And there you go. So perfect example of that. Yeah, and that's a situation that works out for a lot of people. And non-sexual play can be a lot of fun. It doesn't always have to be about an orgasm or like that kind of thing. So there's a lot of people who get a lot of enjoyment out of BDSM for BDSM's sake. So all right. Oh, okay. I drank blood. I see what happened there. Yeah. Yeah. That's that sucks. That sucks. I don't know. I hope it's small enough. Maybe you could like put a band-aid or a bandana on it. uh, yeah. I mean, I think this is what we get for having really highly visible tattoos. People ask questions about them. Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't mind talking about like my tattoos a lot of the time, but sometimes it's just like you get weird stuff. So thankfully, no, it's big, eh? Oh, damn. Maybe a nice neckerchief. I think that's what they're called, the big scarves. Just I don't know, make it a new thing in the office. I don't know, but yeah, I've got obviously I've got a lot of tattoos. I've got them on my hands and stuff, and people ask me about that all the time, and it's sometimes awkward. And I mean, mine isn't BDSM related at all or anything, but yeah, it's it can be weird conversations to have. Uh, Yes, Sharon brings up something really good. I've ended up saying no to to play with people who admit to me that they have partners and significant others, but they keep the kink secret from them. Personal hard limit. I agree. I would not play with somebody in that sort of respect. Um, and I say that, I mean, like I was a pro dom, so obviously I'm pretty sure I played with people that way. Um, and that always bothered me about that kind of work. But in my personal life, yeah, absolutely not. When my partner and I were negotiating him finding another play partner, one of the things that I told him was that like I'm happy to verify with anybody that you want to hook up with if they want to talk to me to make sure that I'm in on this too. I'm totally happy to do that. Um, I said, and to be honest with you, if you come across somebody who thinks you're cheating, but is okay with that, no, I don't have veto power over his partners or anything like that. He is free to date whoever he wants, but he's not allowed to date. Well, I mean, he doesn't want to date cheaters and people who are okay with him cheating. So it's one of those kind of things. I have very strong feelings about that and opinions on that one as well. But yeah, I can't condone cheating because it's you don't have the consent of all of the people involved. So there's that. So sorry, I just seeing somebody D me down it. I would never talk to my mom about BDSM. She thinks it's sick, yeah. However, I just found out my son has a Fat Life profile. First thought, oh shit, run away. Yeah, I think that too. And then 5 minutes later, hey, let's talk. I think that's awesome. Because then you can talk to him about like, hey, this is how we can, make this safer and whatever. I mean, depending on the age there. But yeah, I think that's fantastic if you can have those open conversations. I always said that if I did have kids, which it's not my thing, but, I would want to be like that really open kind of parent. And I've been like, I have a lot of my friends, kids. I'm Auntie Morgan to a lot of them. And I'm always the one that they're like, they can come and talk to if they're having any questions or problems about sex or life in general and all that kind of stuff. And I try to give them good advice as best as I can and be as open and honest with them as I can because I think that's important. And it sucks for those of us that can't have that kind of relationship with our own parents because they're a little closed-minded, because I certainly can't have that. Like I said, I don't have a relationship with my folks, but if I did, I still certainly couldn't have that kind of openness with them. So Yeah, we've got some people saying, I swear it's hereditary. Yeah. Yeah, I had friends that there was a brother and sister that were both. Actually, I've had quite a few brother and sister friends that were all kinky. One was a set of twins, so yeah, I think it's definitely it's in the blood somehow. But and they had when we would go out to like big club parties and stuff, they made a deal that if one of them was in the dungeon, the other was on the dance floor, and they would swap throughout the night. But they just didn't want to see each other playing. And I think that was fair, because, you know, brother and sister might be a little weird. But then I've known other people, brother and sister or cousins or whatever, that are totally fine with, like, I mean, obviously it's going to be a little awkward, but they'll just be like, oh, I'll turn my back or whatever. So, yeah, the apple does not fall far from the tree. That's awesome. Um, oh, isn't that like a lovely thing there? We're just gonna report the person who is, you know, saying nasty things about people. I've got to ask, where the hell did you get the beautiful St. Andrew's cross behind you? Well, I think I might have mentioned at Sage Noir on Instagram. He does airbrushing as well. He airbrushes dungeon furniture and motorcycles mostly. Um, so he also has a gorgeous motorcycle that is all airbrushed. But yeah, he did the cross for us. I'm gonna show you guys like a nice close up one day of the cross because like the detail in it is amazing. And this was like not his first airbrush attempt, but it was when he was first starting out airbrushing, and it's still really cool. So he's like even better now. But I'm quite proud of my boy. He is like I said, a very talented artist, and we're going to do. We're trying to get him up to I think like 500 followers on Instagram, and we're gonna do like a cross promotion kind of thing when we get close to there. So you guys keep your eyes open. But yeah, he's an incredible artist. If you're into like especially like comic stuff too, he likes a lot of that. All of the masks up there, with the exception of one, are his. So you can see what he's kind of into. Yeah. He is very inspired by Geiger, and you can for sure see it in his work. So, Geiger and Frank Frazetta, I hope I'm saying that right. The Death Dealer, I know that he's got it tattooed on his arm, the Death Dealer, but Frank Frazetta was one of the big influences for him as well. And I was aware of his work, but I didn't know who he was until I started dating Sage. I know now. Yeah, the cross itself is just, it was just an inexpensive, I'm not sure who made it, but it was just like a fairly inexpensive cross, and then he decided to paint it. Um, it's not the most heavy duty one out there. I would like, because Sage is not a small guy, he's like 6 feet tall and 240 pounds. Oh, he'll be pissed if I'm telling you guys. He's big and muscly. You've seen him. Um, so he's not a small guy, so when I put him on the cross, it's not the most stable thing. So I want to get a bit of a heavier, more stable cross, I think, at some point. But oh, we've got some people that already know Sage. He's awesome. Do I travel from state to state to teach classes? Diamond, I do. I'm Canadian. So I travel around Canada a fair bit. And I come down to the States quite a bit as well. I was just in Las Vegas for a conference. And I've been out to like various conferences like Washington D.C. and L.A. and a few other places. But I am looking at the possibility this summer of doing a bit of a tour in the States. Um, but I'm not sure yet because apparently the Canadian dollar is supposed to fall horribly compared to the American dollar. So it just with the exchange rate, it wouldn't be worth me going down there. Because it would just cost me way too much. But I'm working on some logistics there. If you let me know where you're from, I can see if I can add that to sort of the general itinerary that I'm working on. But I will be traveling the States in probably about 2 years. I've got a thing that I'm going to announce in a little while, but I will be there to see all of you guys in the States. Because I want to see all of it. But yeah, we'll be definitely down there, and I'm also working on some online seminars as well, so that you guys can come and see some of my classes and all that online. So, oh, Baltimore, yeah, for sure. I was actually quite a few years ago. I was supposed to come down to Baltimore and teach, and I don't remember what happened there. But I was doing a conference in Washington, and then I was gonna hit up Baltimore as well. But yeah, we'll come down. I'll be down for sure. Because you guys aren't that far from me. I think it's like maybe an 8 or 9 hour drive. So it's not that far. Florida. I definitely want to come see Florida. North or South Florida? Like which part of the state? Dallas, Texas. Yes, I want to come to Texas so badly. I've heard so many amazing things. It'll be a little bit before I make it down to Texas, but I mean, I want to see all of the different cities. But yeah, Melbourne, Australia. I would love to. Would you like to buy me an airplane ticket? I really want to see Australia. Because I mean, it looks like such an amazing place. But yeah, it's insanely expensive to fly from here to there. But yeah, eventually I will come to Australia for sure. It just give me a little while because expensive. Pittsburgh, yeah, that is certainly possible. I'm just looking at all these awesome places, Australia, yeah. Oh, I see somebody was trying to. Here, let me give you Sage's. Sorry, I'm like reading comments. Let me give you Sage's. I saw someone who was looking for Sage's thing. He is. At Sage Noir, there's an underscore there, and that's how you'll find him on Instagram. He'll be happy when he like checks his follower count, and he's like, I got a whole bunch of them, yay! Because he gets so like I don't know. He compares his like follower count with mine, and like I've got not a huge Instagram following, but because I have all you guys on YouTube, I do have like more than him. So it's sort of one of those. He gets a little upset sometimes. He's like, "Arr." But so if you guys follow him, please. He's a great artist. Michigan, Grand Rapids, yeah, for sure. Like, all these places sound awesome. I think, like, if I do come down in the summer, I'm not 100% on that yet, like I said, but it will definitely be, like, northeastern United States, because that is sort of the easiest part. I'm in Ontario, so it's the easiest part for me to get to. And, yep, Quebec City. You know what's it's funny. I was thinking about going out to the East Coast as well. We were supposed to go out last summer, but that didn't work out. And we debated stopping in Quebec. I know I'll be doing stuff in Montreal, but I am totally open to or adding Quebec. If I have some lovely French-speaking friends who can help me out. Because again, I am a shitty Canadian, and I speak more Spanish than French. It's wrong, but it is what it is. So you just realized that it's an old dentist chair. I just saw that go by on my thing there. Yeah, Aussies are like awesome and kinky. When I was traveling, I met so many Australians on the road, and they're, I mean, you guys are all a little crazy in like the best way, trust me. But like, yeah, a lot of kinky Aussies for sure. You get out the collection plate, awesome, thank you. Yeah, no, I definitely will make it down there at some point. I just don't know when, because it is a very pricey trip. Um, and then like, you know, the figuring out logistics to work and things like that. So it's it can be a little rough, but yeah. Oh, you found it without the underscore. Okay, thank you. So I was wrong in that. He has something that's like with the underscore. So South Africa. Totally want to come to South Africa. I want to see all of Africa, really. But yeah, I've had a couple of friends from Johannesburg, and it just, yeah, it seems amazing. I hope that I hope that was the right city. Yeah, Johannesburg in South Africa. But yeah, no, it sounds amazing. I've always wanted. I mean, like, I want to see everywhere. Like, really, that's what it comes to. I'm a big traveler. I've really only done parts of the U.S. and Central America at this point, but I'm a big, like, lover of travel. You know, I lived out of a backpack for a year and stuff like that. So it's I definitely need to do more traveling in my life. So, and I'm going to very soon. So yay. Yes, I see a couple of comments about like all of the venomous things in Australia. Um, so perverted comes from being upside down. You guys are awesome. Yeah. Oh, I know. Like I said, one of the things that I absolutely learned, just traveling, you meet like all these people from all over the world. And the Australians were always like those people, like everyone loved hanging out with the Aussies because they were so friendly and just so out there. And, you know, they loved to party and to have a good time and just, you know, make everyone feel really welcome. And that was amazing. And like you guys have this incredible reputation around the world for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I partied with many Aussies when I was hanging out in Central America and Mexico and everything. It was great. So yeah. Yeah, I'm terrified of spiders, just for the record. I have genuine arachnophobia. Everyone, when I was younger and I was really into the goth scene and stuff, everyone used to make fun of me because, you know, I'm a goth who's afraid of spiders. But yeah, I'm terrified of them. But you know, I want to go to places like Australia and Brazil and all that kind of stuff where there's like ginormous spiders. At least in Brazil, I don't think Australia has big ones. They just have deadly ones. So. It's not that bad. We just like to play Let's Screw with the Foreigners. Nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, hair, no, nothing to do with the Viking thing, just the tattoos. But we do believe there's not a lot of good historical evidence whether the Vikings wore dreadlocks or not, or a similar style of hair. But they think it's certainly it's possible. One of the things that I really like about it, because this is my own heritage, I have a sort of like a Viking blood or whatever through my family being from Iceland, which I have never been. I was born here in Canada. But yeah, so one of the things that I always loved about the Vikings is that they seem to like really care about the appearances of things, but not in a negative way. They like to decorate everything. So if you ever see any Viking artifacts, they are absolutely covered in like all of these beautiful like knotwork animals and all that kind of stuff. And there's like all these different periods of Viking art and everything else. And I could go on for hours about it, and I'm not going to, but yeah. So yeah, the tattoos, are very well, at least on this arm, and I have a leg full of it as well. But Viking inspired, but yeah, the hair not so much. We don't know whether the Vikings wore, you know, basically dreadlocked hair. I mean, they would have called it something else, but and I don't think they shaved their hair. Well, they did, but not like this. So it's, let's see. Oh, Alan loves spiders. Okay, the peacock spider is kind of cute. I'll give you that one, Alan. Absolutely. But yes, Sharon, I'm totally safe word when I see spiders. I'm just like, I'm done. Bye. So I won't even, if somebody, I want them to take the spider and put it outside. I don't want them to be killed because I'm weird. But I'm just like, just take it and put it outside, please. And sometimes forgetting that it's like minus 10,000 out because I live in Canada. But then I won't go near that person until like they've been spider free for a while because they have the spider cooties, you see. And I'm a weirdo. So, sorry, we've been doing a live stream now for almost 3 hours, so I'm getting a little weird. But yeah. I'm just having too much fun chatting with you guys, so. Awesome. Okay, I drank what? We'll see how big this tattoo is. Maybe you can let me know how bad neck tattoos are too. Cause I got, like I said, I think that's, I've got a little bit of color to go down here, background, and then I'm onto the neck. So. Oh, Greg, Scottish, Irish, and Native American, for sure. You've got a lot of really cool cultural stuff, like different cultural art styles and that to draw from for that. That would be awesome. Oh, Harley is the same way with clowns. Totally understand. And Deemy Dammit knows about the spider cuties. Awesome. So, oh, yeah, super who locked brown coat. Long name. But yeah, I see, it's weird. I'm totally fine with the roaches. Like, I mean, I don't want them in my house, obviously. But I think I got so used to, because like when you're in like, hey buddy, yes, I know, you're sad and you want to go out. But when you're down in Mexico and like Central America, like they're huge. They're like, you know, my hand across. And so you kind of got used to them. Like, because they'd just be there in your room, you wake up and it's like, oh look, there's this giant roach. A couple of times I woke up with scorpions, and I'm okay with scorpions, I'm not afraid of them. As long as I can determine whether they're like gonna kill me or not. But that's when the Australians come in really handy. Is getting rid of scorpions, I learned that one too. But yeah, the scorpions don't bother me, but man, spiders, they freak me out. Yep, Team Moran, I absolutely agree. I stay out of the spider's house, they can stay out of mine. It's only fair. So, alright guys, I think I'm gonna wrap things up. Oh, Harley does not like scorpions though. Oh, hold on, let me see. I think there's the people who said that it all have to be in some kind of, what? Okay. Okay. Sorry. The dog is leaning. So fun little like trivia about English Mastiffs. Okay. Last time, I hope. So I was gonna say one of the fun little things about English Mastiffs is that when they want affection and that, they'll lean against you. And it's really adorable until you remember that 200 pounds is not unusual for an English Mastiff. He's just using me as a chew toy right now. So yeah, it's like, oh god, I'm gonna fall over. I don't have great balance because I only have one working leg, so it's like, I'm gonna fall. Okay, that's enough, buddy. Alright, so sorry, Doms, who are expected to be, I guess, like, kind of sensitive, to feel the subs you play with. I think about, like, I think that we're talking about, like just talking about our feelings and stuff like that. I think that I think that there's a lot of expectations on DOMs, also on subs, but we have right now this sort of culture of dominance as like more of a caregiver figure in a lot of ways. Like you see that the daddy dom little girl thing is really really popular, but that sort of parental role of dominance I think is really is really a popular idea right now. And I think that that's probably where a lot of that stuff comes from. Now, we all get to be dominant or submissive or switches in the way that works for us. And so somebody, for instance, and some people have yelled at me in the past for this, I'm not a big aftercare person. Like, I'm obviously going to make sure that my partner is doing okay. I'm not going to just be like, oh, I'm done and walk away, and they're bleeding on the floor or something like that. Obviously, I'm going to look after them. But I'm not a big person for aftercare as far as like cuddling and having that kind of thing. And so somebody who's really into cuddling after play would not be a good play partner for me. And so I choose my partners accordingly. But I think some people just have an idea that all DOMs are the same and that we all do this and we all do that and we all do aftercare, we all do whatever. And so that is obviously incorrect thinking, right? Because we're all different. You know, like even if we are, you know, very much the same in so many ways as people, we're still different people, right? We still will have different tastes or different things that we like. So, you know, your style of dominance is going to be different than my style of dominance. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of being clear about it. And I'm seeing some stuff about the aftercare, but I negotiate aftercare stuff when I negotiate play, right? So I don't want to play with somebody who needs that aftercare and then I'm not willing to provide it, but we haven't talked about it. You know, that's not going to work out very well for either of us because one of us is going to be doing something we don't want to do. Either I'm going to be giving aftercare that I don't feel comfortable giving, or they're going to go without aftercare that they need after a play scene. So there have been some people where we've just been like, okay, we have like a surrogate for aftercare or whatever, because we really wanted to play together, but just that didn't mesh. So that can work, but yeah, I think that if somebody is telling you, oh, you have to do this as a dominant, you have to do that, they just have a very rigid idea of what a dominant is, and they need to sort of be more open to your, like, not necessarily to playing with you or getting involved with you, but just that your style of dominance is also legitimate and it's okay. You know, that DOMs, there's no checklist for DOMs. There's no, you know, must have A, B, C, D, E, F, kind of whatever to be a dominant. I've been told that I can't be a dominant because I can't walk. And there's nothing in this world. Like, my ability to walk does not affect my ability to have authority, right? So just keep that in mind, that kind of thing in mind, that you get to be the dominant that you want to be. It's kind of the point of dominance, right? And so anybody who says otherwise obviously is not compatible with you. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get ready to go. And then, and oh, there's one more question. And then, yeah, here I am. Yeah. Demi, damn it, English Mastiffs are quite commonly used as mobility dogs. I was thinking of training Wolfie as a service dog, but he is a little on the stubborn side. So I don't know if he will actually become a full-on proper service dog, but yeah, they're quite commonly used. Great Danes, English Mastiffs, pretty much any of the Mastiff types are good mobility dogs if you need for that balance and stability. It's quite common. The hate the CGL community gets. I'm not sure which community you're referring to, Silver. Can you sort of spell that one out for me, like quite literally? But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Like, different strokes for different folks, for sure. I mean, we're all different, and we all get to do BDSM the way we want, right? Oh no. Giant aftercare teddy. Totally. Yeah, there's ways to work around it if you want to play with people that aren't into like aftercare and that. Like, I'm a big fan of like, you know, you have a friend step in, you have a stuffy, whatever. It totally works. Like I'm just not into cuddling because it's just not me personally. But it's also I have a lot of chronic pain and a lot of parts of my body that are very painful to touch. So I don't like being touched by people very much. So okay, just oh, caregiver little. Thank you, Alan, for clearing that up. Oh, and Silver there, yeah, caregiver little. Thank you guys. Yeah, I don't understand hate for that or for any kind of kink really. I think probably because it is really popular right now. It's like it's sort of. I mean, if I could show you my inbox and show you how many questions I get about like daddy dom little girls specifically, or just general caregiver little type relationships, it's unreal how many people are wanting to know about it. Now, unfortunately, it's not something that I know a lot about because it's not the style of relationship that I engage in. But I don't understand people hating on it. Like it's but I think that again, it's just the visibility of, excuse me, the visibility of it, and that sort of makes it a target, unfortunately. And I think too that people have some ideas that are really incorrect. You know, and especially when we get into littles and things like that, where you know people don't understand like a little is an adult who takes on the persona of a young person, not an actual young person, right? And I'm framing it that way because YouTube has some very strict rules about things. So just for the record, that's why we're saying young person. Or I have another video that'll be coming out I think next week where I'm talking about people who are not adults exploring BDSM, and it was really awkward to like make that video so that I don't lose my whole channel for it. So yeah, but yeah, I think that that's part of the hate because they don't understand what it's actually about. They don't understand that it's consenting adults, right? So. Greg, I think that negotiations and contracts both can serve different purposes, or similar but different purposes. Once we've negotiated stuff, then we can write a contract if we so choose. But we have to remember contracts are not legally binding, and they're certainly not something that everybody does. But I am a big fan of having like sort of an evolving contract, we can call it. But basically, I use like a Google Drive text file document, and we have our sort of rules, and that way we can change them if we want. And obviously, you know, with both consenting. But as the relationship evolves, sometimes some rules don't work and others work better, and we need to change things, or circumstances change. So I like that being open to change as long as everybody involved consents. But it also is written down so that we can say, hey, like, oh, what are my rules? What are my responsibilities in this relationship? Now, it's not something that I really look at often because we've been together for so long. But, you know, I still have, like, you know, play things that we filled out in the beginning and have updated so I know what kind of play he's into and what he's not into, because sometimes I forget. No, I don't really forget. I just try to convince try to convince him that he's into needles, and he's not. But yeah. Yeah, I don't use like contracts for casual partners. It's really only for relationships, but that's me. Like everybody can definitely be different. Oh, Kelly had a Newfoundland. I was close to getting a Newfie Mastiff mix. We weren't sure, and we found Wolfgar, and he was the dog for us. But I love Newfoundland dogs. Oh my god! For those of you who don't know, seriously Google it. They're the most incredible, adorable animals ever. Like close to him in size and big and shaggy, and they swim really well. Love them. Sorry again, guys. I'm like all over the place here, but Alan is just using Google Drive for team projects and sharing important documents. Well, it's kind of like a team project. It's a relationship, right? And it's a very important document. But yeah, like, and that's the reason that that I use it, because it's like, because I can share it with my partner, we can both reference it and we can change it, and it works. You know, I mean, obviously you do what works for you, but that's sort of my take on it. Yeah. Oh, Sharon, safe words I document too, but I still go over them each and every time before play. Excellent, yeah. I tend to use, and most of my partners also tend to use the sort of standard yellow, red kind of safe words. But, you know, it's certainly not always the case. Some people have safe words that they use. And so, yeah, I do the same. I always go over the safe words before play, especially with more casual partners. Because, like, I mean, obviously, like, when I play with Sage, we've been together for so long. I mean, I usually know when he's not happy about a thing before he says anything, because, like, we've really gotten to know each other well like that. But definitely for new partners and stuff, yeah, I always, or just casual partners, I always go over the safe words. And I think that it's a really good practice to get into. Yeah, I've got just a lot of people like affirming that, yeah, like, I mean, we need contracts to be able to change and evolve, because we change as people and we evolve as people. Um, yeah, I think that it's a good way to kind of go about it, and it sort of also reminds us that we shouldn't be rigid in our relationships, right? Because if a rule or whatever it is isn't working for us in a relationship, like, what are your options? You can change the rule, which is what I would suggest you do. Change it into something that does work, or you can try to force it, and then you're going to have people that are not happy with each other because there's, you know, rules are being ignored or disobeyed, and if you're not enforcing them, then that can lead to other problems. So, yeah, we need to remember to have that flexibility, and I think sometimes, like, a printed out written contract, as symbolic, like, important and symbolic as that may be for a lot of people, and that's cool if that's the way you want to do it. Absolutely, you don't have to do it my way. But I feel like it feels like it can be very rigid to me. Now, if it works for you, then it works for you, right? But for me, I'm like, yeah, I want to have something like more flexible. But Juliet had a safe word last night when she got tickled. Yeah, that's like the surefire only way I can get some people to safe word is to tickle them. It's brutal. Like, you remember when you were kids and, like, your little brother or whatever would tickle you and it was just like, oh god, no. Yeah, it's awful. So, yeah, don't get the kink shared files mixed up with the work shared files. Keep that shit separate, because you're gonna regret it otherwise. But yeah, it would be kind of funny. All right. Okay, guys, I am gonna kind of wrap things up because I need to go and have a cup of tea, and it's pretty late here. Yeah, it's almost 2 in the morning, so I'm gonna get going. Um, but thank you all for joining me. I've had so much fun just chatting with you guys and everything else. You know, I mean, that's why I've stuck around for 3+ hours. But anyways, I'm gonna go. Again, thank you so much. Follow Sage on Instagram, because it'll make him happy and you'll love his art. And I will have a new video for you guys on Tuesday, and I hope you like it. It's with a very special person, and that's all I'm gonna say. So I will see you guys later. Good night.